Let's do this. It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indie Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indie Sports Ticket app.
Happy draft day. Welcome into the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indie Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indie Sports Ticket. If you want to head over there and subscribe, maybe you're watching the show on X, _ Jonathan Smith, to follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on that Indie Sports Ticket app or 1430 AM. It is a beautiful Thursday, and I'm so excited for today's show. Destin Adams is going to join us at 1 o'clock to keep you updated on everything going on with the NFL draft. We'll talk about his mock draft as well. Because it's draft day, to celebrate that, Chris and I are going to do 3 different drafts throughout the show today. We're going to do one at 12:20, 1:20, and 2:20, all encompassing different things. So here in about 20 minutes, we are going to draft the best sports moments that we've been alive for. I'm so excited for that. 1:20, we are going to draft things that we need more of. And then at 2:20, we're going to draft Indianapolis sports and entertainment needs. So loaded show from that perspective. And I've got other great topics for you as well, starting with important gambling movement. This is very important because I'm sure some of you are betting on the NFL draft tonight, and you need to know where odds have moved. This also impacts the Indianapolis Colts. If you've ever walked into a massive gold-plated casino in Las Vegas and wondered how they paid for that $500 million chandelier that's dangling from the ceiling, the answer is pretty simple. They know what's coming in the world of sports. They knew that the backup quarterback was going to trip in the fourth quarter and cost his team the game. They knew that some important superstar wasn't going to play, and they knew it wasn't going to matter as much as everyone else thought that it was going to. The house always wins, right? The Vegas Sharps, they don't set lines. They just leak spoilers of what's going to happen. This is important to know, because we had some interesting odd shifts last night for the NFL draft today, and some of them are going to directly impact what the Colts do in the second round of the NFL draft. So here are some players where the odds have shifted to where Vegas believes it is more likely for them to be drafted in the first round. Ty Simpson, quarterback out of Alabama. Peter Woods, defensive lineman from Clemson, Caleb Lomu, and Jacob Rodriguez. Very important on that one. Here is also a list of players where, according to Vegas, it is now less likely for them to be first-round picks. Akeem Mesidor, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, Jermod McCoy, Chase Bizontis, and Cassius Howell. 2 of the players on this list directly impact what the Colts are going to do with the 47th pick. Jacob Rodriguez, linebacker out of Texas Tech, that is a player that many people have mocked to the Colts with that 47th pick. Obviously, if he gets taken in the first round, then the Colts can't take him anymore with the 47th pick. The question, and where it becomes interesting, is do they like him enough to trade up for him? Or are they content to stay at 47 or trade down to 51 like Jake Arthur suggested yesterday and grab a different linebacker that they may not like as much but still like the idea of them being on their team? I personally hope that they don't trade up to grab Jacob Rodriguez. I personally like Anthony Hill Jr. more. He's bigger. He's had more successful seasons as a linebacker in college. Jacob Rodriguez was originally a quarterback. So Anthony Hill Jr., bigger, more seasons in college at linebacker, better athlete, better blitzer. If the Colts are, in fact, looking to go linebacker in the second round, and it seems like that's what they want to do, I don't know why you would trade up for Jacob Rodriguez when Anthony Hill Jr. could be available with that 47th pick. CJ Allen out of Georgia as well. That's another guy. I talked about him a little bit yesterday. That's another guy that I wouldn't mind the Colts grabbing in the second round if they are, in fact, looking to go linebacker. So if Jacob Rodriguez comes off the board early, there's other guys for the Colts to fall back on. Here, to me, this is the interesting part about the odds movement. Akeem Mesidor, if he indeed falls like Vegas is predicting for him to, then that is a guy that Chris Ballard should 1,000% trade up for. And I think that is the kind of player that Chris Ballard would consider worthy of trading up for. Now, I freaking love Akeem Mesidor. Had a really good final season at Miami, 12 and a half sacks. Everyone wants to focus on Bain. Good for you. I'm telling you, Akeem Mesidor is a monster as well. There's a couple of issues, though, with Akeem Mesidor. The biggest one being that he's 25 years old. It's part of why I think he's going to fall in the draft. But here's the thing. He's a very complete player. He had 12 and a half sacks for Miami last year, and this guy can do everything. He can defend the run. He's a power rusher, something that Laiatu Latu is not. And he's also got some moves. He's got a couple go-to moves, another thing that Laiatu Latu doesn't have. Akeem Mesidor has a very explosive first step. He looks like prime Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade was like 100 pounds heavier. Staying with the Dwayne Wade theme, Akeem Mesidor's go-to move is a little Euro step that really gives tackles trouble. He can convert speed to power on his bull rush and has overwhelmed tackles with just brute force. He's also got a nice little swim move, little cross chop, a nice little long arm stab move. He shows really good bend, which is an important thing. Von Miller made a lot of money just being incredibly flexible and having the ability to kind of bend around tackles and get to the quarterback. Now, I'm not saying that Akeem Mesidor has Von Miller level bend. If he did, he wouldn't be going potentially in the second round. But that is another thing that when you watch Laiatu Latu, doesn't exactly pop out. My point is, even though he's older, he's complete, which makes me more than willing to draft him, even though he's 25 years old. He's a grown man who you can tell has worked on his game quite a bit, and that is the kind of 25-year-old I would be willing to draft. The other thing that I like about him is the fact that he can line up in multiple spots. That was one of the attractive things last year about taking Jalen Tuimoloau. Akeem Mesidor is another guy who can rush from the defensive end or the defensive tackle spot. And I like having guys that are flexible in terms of their ability to play multiple positions. It gives them a little more value, makes it a little bit easier to get them on the field, which is another reason why Jalen Tuimoloau not playing last year is kind of concerning. Dude could have played any spot on the line and still couldn't get on the field. The other thing about Akeem Mesidor that I like, he's just a smart football player. He's a smart football player. He does a good job of recognizing screens. He's tough and he's physical in playing the run. And I get it. Not everyone, lights up when they hear that an edge rusher does a good job playing the run. But Mesidor can do that. He's a 3-down guy. He does a great job of just causing problems. Like he'll just blow up blocks because he's so powerful. Right? He also has the ability to drop back into zones. And that's important because we saw Lou Anarumo last year have Laiatu Latu drop back into zones, and Latu had a couple picks because of that. Akeem Mesidor is a complete player who could help the Colts immediately. And that is the thing that they need. They need someone who can show up and contribute. So even though Akeem Mesidor is a little bit older than what you would probably like, this is a guy who can come in and start immediately for your team. If he falls, then this is a guy that Chris Ballard should 1,000% go up and get. I think he's a stud who could immediately have a positive impact on the Colts and their offense this next season. Now, we'll see if he ends up being a first-round pick or not. Again, if he falls, Chris Ballard's got to be all over that guy. Yesterday, I did a couple of big predictions for the upcoming NFL draft, and I realized last night I didn't predict any busts. So let's go ahead and get on the record on a couple of prospects that I think are going to be busts. Let's start with the easy one. Ty Simpson. If Ty Simpson gets taken in the first round, that'll be the biggest mistake of the first round. He only started 15 games in college after being a backup for 3 years at Alabama. At this point, if I'm an NFL general manager, given what we've seen in recent years, you want a quarterback who's played a lot of football. I think it's one of the nice parts about Fernando Mendoza. It's part of why Bo Nix was able to, be a solid quarterback really from the jump. Same goes for Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams, and Drake May played a lot at North Carolina, and so on. I want a quarterback who has played a lot of football. I want a guy who has seen some stuff. I also want a quarterback who's got some size. Ty Simpson doesn't have that at all. He looks less like an NFL franchise savior to me and more like the kid who manages a TikTok account for the team. I've seen sturdier looking people on top of a wedding cake than Ty Simpson. He's listed at 6'1", 211, but there's absolutely no way that's right. There's no way that guy is 200 pounds. He is incredibly slight whenever you watch him play at Alabama. I bet he plays closer to 190. And when you're that small, you are already at a disadvantage. I want my quarterbacks to be built like old furniture. Big, chunky, and hard to move. That is not Ty Simpson. If you're going to be undersized, you can survive in the NFL. Russell Wilson's done it. Kyler Murray's done it. But you have to have something to make up for that lack of size. And Ty Simpson doesn't. When you look at Kyler Murray, he's small, but he's got a big arm, throws a beautiful deep ball. Russell Wilson was the same way. Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson also had incredible escapability. Those are the two traits that have allowed Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray to survive in the NFL. Even though Kyler Murray looks like a toddler compared to everybody else, the athletic ability and the arm strength have allowed him to stay relevant. Ty Simpson has neither one of those things. His arm isn't special, and he doesn't have the athletic ability to extend plays. He's also bad under pressure. And that's a problem because in the NFL, you live playing quarterback under pressure. Happens to everyone in the league. If you can't survive with a 285-pound offensive lineman running you down and you panic and you make a poor decision, you're going to be out of the league really quickly. So he struggles when he's under pressure, and his decision-making drops off pretty significantly whenever that happens. He forces passes into tight coverage. He puts the ball in danger when he's trying to improvise. Someone is going to take him in the first round, and they are absolutely going to regret it. If the Steelers take him with the 21st overall pick, this is Kenny Pickett part 2. We don't really have a quarterback. There's really no such thing as a second round quarterback, because if you take a guy in round, you'd rather take a guy in round 1 at the quarterback position, because if he pans out, you have him for an extra year because you can pick up the 5th-year team option. Whereas if you take him in the second round, you only get him for 4 years. So Ty Simpson is not a guy I would take in the first round. Too small, and there's just not enough special with him to make up for that lack of size. Now, I feel like I'm cheating a little bit by taking a quarterback, because when you look at the bust rate on first-round quarterbacks, it's 50%. About half of first-round quarterbacks taken end up being busts. About 30% of them end up being serviceable starters, and about 20% of them end up being absolute stars. So I feel like I'm cheating a little bit. The odds are certainly in my favor whenever it comes to picking a quarterback that's going to bust. Um, Pause. There we go. Um, it made me lose my train of thought. So, because I feel like I'm cheating a little bit, I have another prospect that's probably going to be a top 3 pick that I also don't think is going to succeed at the level that he's going to be picked at. I'll tell you who that is at 12:40, because at 12:20 here in about 4 minutes, we have our first draft of the day. Chris and I, we're doing 3 drafts today, one at 12:20, one at 1:20, one at 2:20, in honor of the 3 days of the NFL draft. So in about 3 minutes, we're going to draft the best sports moments that we've been alive for. Chris is just a little bit older than me, so he's got a couple more options.
Just a little.
Just a little bit, but it's going to be fun. And then we will also invite you to call in as well with some of the better sports moments that you have witnessed throughout your life. That's coming your way in 3 minutes.
It may, one day, be a must-listen for sports enthusiasts.
Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt.
The Real Jonathan Smith Show. On Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thanks for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, X, the Indy Sports Ticket app, or 1430 AM. So many ways to listen. There's really no excuse not to. Coming up at 1 o'clock, we got Destin Adams. We're going to talk more about the Colts and their pick is tomorrow night. Will they trade up tonight? Probably not, but we'll see. But right now, in honor of the NFL draft and the 3 days of the NFL draft, Chris and I are doing 3 drafts today. First one being right now. We're going to draft our favorite sports moments, but like within the time constraints of how long we've been alive. So I've been alive since 1999. So I've got like a nice little 26-year window. Chris, you don't have to tell them how long you've been alive for.
That's okay. Okay. 82 for me. 1982.
Okay. So you have just like a couple more options.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I know you said during the break that I could go first.
absolutely.
I would rather go like odd or even. So I'm gonna hold a number up to the camera and you'll guess odd or even. And if you get it right, you can go first.
Okay.
So don't cheat. I know you got the stream pulled up over there.
Not looking.
I gotta like keep it where you can't see it either.
So I'm guessing an odd or even.
Yeah. Is the number that I'm holding up odd or even?
Okay, it's odd.
It is odd. You can go first.
Oh, okay. I'm on the clock already.
You're on the clock.
All right, my pick is in. Here we go. My number 1 pick for my most memorable sports moment of my life. I have got to put number 1, the Colts making the Super Bowl.
Okay, hallelujah. You didn't take my pick.
The one that they played against the Bears, not the one that they lost to the Saints.
2006.
When Marlon Jackson intercepted the ball against the Patriots and we were going, that was it still gives me goosebumps just thinking about it.
Okay.
So there you go. There's my number 1. You are on the clock.
I am on the clock. My pick is in. I can't believe that this wasn't your first pick.
Okay.
2007, the Giants upsetting the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl to spoil their perfect season.
I like that one too.
It is every year before I got married, the week before the Super Bowl, because like there's 2 weeks between the AFC and NFC championship games
Right.
and the Super Bowl. The Sunday before the Super Bowl, I would go back and I would watch the 2007 Super Bowl. It's the first one that I can like vividly remember. And the Smith Jr. catch with the helmet catch, Plexico Burris running the little corner route to seal the game. It's a great one.
Solid choice. Yeah, I will always say, in my personal preference, Colts over the Giants, but that was definitely a top 10 moment for me too. Good choice right there.
Thank you.
That was your first one?
That's the first one that I can like vividly remember.
Okay.
Like I remember because the year 2 years prior would have been the Colts and the Bears. And no, 1 year prior would have been the Colts and the Bears.
Right.
And like I remember Devin Hester returning the opening kickoff back for a touchdown, but that's really all that I remember from it. But yeah, so that's the first one, Giants and Patriots, that I can like vividly remember.
Okay, very good. My next pick is in. Here we go. Most memorable sports moments in this draft right here. My next pick is WrestleMania 6. This is where Hulk Hogan went against the Ultimate Warrior, right? Champion versus champion. I believe it was in Canada somewhere. I obviously wasn't there, but my mom took me to a movie theater to watch this all unfold on a big screen. How about that?
Okay. That's a cool memory. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's a good one. I'll be honest. I don't have any WrestleMania stuff on mine. Believe it or not.
Surprise, surprise.
With my second pick. By the way, we're doing 5 picks each. That way the audience knows.
Yep, there you go.
I'm going to take the Cubs winning the 2016 World Series.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Breaking the 108-year drought. Breaking the Billy Goat curse. That is the loudest my house has ever been.
Nice.
Because my whole family, we're all Cubs fans. I grew up watching them on WGN, waking up or, going to church on Sunday, coming home and watching the Cubs lose because that's all that they did when I was a kid. And so that World Series in 2016 has to be my second pick.
Awesome. Very good. Good choice right there. My next one is in as well. Here we go. May 25th, 1998. This is Reggie Miller hitting the game winner over Michael Jordan in the NBA playoffs.
That's a really good one.
Yeah, that's my number 3 pick. Don't need to go much into that there. Reggie Miller was my favorite. Obviously, Jordan is the GOAT, but that was a super memorable moment for me and got me locked on the Pacers for the rest of the 90s.
Okay, there you go. Obviously, Jordan's the GOAT. I like that part. This is pick number 3. This one's a little more niche.
Okay.
But when you grow up a basketball fan, you hear all this stuff about the dunk contest in the 90s. You know, and Michael Jordan doing the dunk from the free throw line and Spud Webb bouncing the ball up off the floor.
Sure, yeah.
And everyone loved the dunk contest. For most of my life, the dunk contest has been awful. But there's one year that was not.
Okay.
2016, Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine going dunk for dunk in the dunk contest, where Aaron Gordon jumps over a mascot and puts it underneath his legs. Best dunk in dunk contest history. It's over, ladies and gentlemen, as Kenny Smith would say. I'm going to take the 2016 dunk contest.
Solid choice right there. Well done. Oh, my next one is in already as well. This one's not as, great, like, result-wise, but I actually was in attendance for the game that we talked about yesterday, Peyton Manning's last game as a Colt when we lost in the playoffs against the New York Jets. And it was a crazy ending. We didn't know it was going to be Peyton's last game as a Colt at that time, but I remember every moment. I don't remember our coach's name at the time, but he just had a deer in headlights look. We didn't block or defend the field goal very well, or we missed something, dude. It was crazy. There's nothing like a playoff environment when the Colts are in it, and that was a gut puncher for sure. I will never forget that.
Okay, a little sad twist.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. I've got two picks left. I have to take. This isn't. If this doesn't count, you can veto this.
Okay.
Because it's not.
Here it comes.
I'm going to take Tyrese Halliburton's run from last year. Because it's not one moment. It's a collection of moments.
Sure.
But there's so many of them that I feel like whenever you mention one, all the other ones just come flooding to mind. Whether it's, the crazy comeback against the Bucks in round 1 where Tyrese hits the game winner and then Tyrese Halliburton's dad runs on the court. I was at that game.
Okay.
It was as soon as he ran out on the floor, Amelia was like, let's go. And I was like, absolutely not. We got Tyrese Halliburton's dad yelling at Giannis right now.
Yeah.
We got to wait. But yeah, that whole run last year, I think has to be on my list at least.
I would agree with that. And I was actually, you took my pick, so that was my number 5. I'm gonna have to go to my number 6. But yeah, the fact that he averaged 17.5 points per game, 8.6 assists. He was the first player in NBA history to do 30 points, 10 rebounds, and 15 assists and no turnovers, man. Hell of a run. We'll never forget Tyrese Halliburton's run last year in the playoffs. But I'm about to go to my number 6 pick since you stole mine. My last pick for memorable sports moments. This one also going to be Colts related. I'll never forget it. The 1995 AFC Championship where Jim Harbaugh threw it to the end zone, and we were just short of making the Super Bowl against the Steelers. I mean, we lost to the Steelers that game. That's just heartbreaking, but that was a super memorable moment for me.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Okay. You're going with all these heartbreaking moments, and I'm over here like...
Those are the ones that you sometimes remember the best, though.
That's true. That's totally fair.
They stick with you like
is my
salt in the wound. All right, your last one here.
Oh, man. I'm torn between two because I really like both of these. One is more sentimental to me, and one is like other people will definitely remember it forever. I'll go with that one. I'm going to take the Cavaliers 2016 coming back from down 3-1 to beat the Warriors.
Wow, yeah, okay, that's a good one too.
I hated it. I hated every second of it. I despised LeBron James growing up, and loved Steph Curry because who doesn't love Steph Curry? The answer is Houston Rocket fans, but and And I hated so much the fact that they were able to come back and win that series. But it's probably it's the biggest comeback in the history of the NBA, I would argue. Only time ever a team's come back from down 3-1 in the finals. LeBron and Kyrie were just incredible in those games. And so, yeah, that is my final pick.
Okay, you said you had a runner up there too because you had two.
Yeah, this one's more sentimental to me.
Okay, go ahead and give us that one too.
The Dallas Mavericks winning the 2011 NBA Finals for multiple reasons. One, it's the first year of the Heatles, LeBron, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh.
Right.
And everybody picked them. And so seeing Dirk overcome that was really cool. It's also it's one of the toughest rings ever. Because like in round one, he beats LaMarcus Aldridge and Brandon Roy, two really good players. And then they sweep the Los Angeles Lakers, the defending champs. And then they gentlemen sweep Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden in the Western Conference Finals. And then they beat the Heat in 6. Just an incredible run. And Dirk was awesome through the entire thing.
Absolutely. How can you not be a fan of that, to be honest?
I know. It was great.
Very good.
317-228-1430. If there is a specific sports moment that you would have taken, number one overall in the draft. And C. Fitch tweeted at me earlier, and he said, what did he say here? He said that the David Tyree catch, the helmet catch, the first thing that came to his mind when it came to this draft. It's an iconic moment. John Buzzard just chiming in with nothing but facts, saying that the Mavs won that title because of Purdue great Brian Cardinal. Everyone knows that.
Oh, yeah.
Ian Mahimi, too, who went on to be a great Pacer. He played like
I forgot about that guy. Jan Mahimi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He played like 3 minutes in that 2011 final series. And in the 3 minutes, he closed like the final 3 minutes of the first half. And he scored 2 points. He hit, like, the Heat didn't even guard him. And he knocked down this little jumper as time expired. It was awesome. Moments like that, man, are great. So 317-228-1430 with some of the best sports moments that you can remember in your lifetime. I'm sure that everyone has like a Chris Ballard moment that they love and remember. Just kidding. Hopefully we can get one later on today. Hopefully Chris Ballard just knocks it out of the park. Hopefully we're trading up into the first round. And will that happen? Probably not. But again, crazier things have happened. Maybe he's feeling his chair heat up a little bit, and we see him be a little more aggressive in trading up. C. Fitch, what up, brother?
Hey, I got 3, and 2 of them I'm very surprised neither one of you picked, and then one I'm surprised Chris didn't pick.
See, Jonathan said to only pick 5, so that's so I picked the 5 best ones. Let's hear what you got though.
IU football win the national title.
I thought you were going to pick that.
I'm not.
However, that's incredible.
The IU thing, it's incredible. If someone had picked it, I'd have been like, yeah, absolutely. The thing for me is like, if I had grown up in Indiana, it probably would have been on the list. But like when they won it, like you could just tell, like after they beat Ohio State in the Big Ten title, it's like, okay, like they're so clearly the best team. And so I don't know. I feel like great moments usually happen when underdogs come through. And at that point, I didn't think they were really an underdog anymore. They were just better than everyone else.
See, I grew up in Indiana. I was
sorry.
all about it. That's great. But I wasn't an IU fan growing up. I think that was the difference for me there. But still happy for him. Go ahead.
Next one, Andrew Luck come back against the Chiefs.
Oh, yeah.
I was there for that game, and that was incredible.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
That's a good one. That's probably fair. That probably should have been on the list.
Agreed.
My wife and I went to that game, and I was like, after the second half started, and I think he threw a pick 6 or an interception, I'm like, all right, I'm ready to go. My wife's like, no, we bought these tickets, we're staying. Right. I was like, whatever.
Good wife.
And I was so glad that we stayed.
Way to go, Mrs. Fitch.
That's right.
Okay,
and then last one. This is
question. Real quick.
Yeah.
I can't remember which AFC Championship game it was. The Colts have the big second half comeback against the Patriots and Brady.
That's the one I was talking about with Marlon Jackson's interception. That was the one that sent him to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Gotcha. Go ahead, C. Fitch. Sorry.
And the last one. 98, The Undertaker throwing Mankind off the Hell in the Cell.
Solid. I think there's like a separate draft for like WWE moments, but these were, I think,
Fair
were
enough.
personal. That was also a great one too. What else you got, C. Fitch?
That's it. Colts going to trade up tonight. It's going to be an electric draft night. I'm actually looking forward to it.
Who are they going to trade up for? That's still my question.
I don't know, but I also understand that I feel like Ballard is like, all gas, no brakes. This is my last go at it. Who cares? That's kind of the way I feel like he's going to operate.
We'll see. The right guy has to fall. Like if Messidor falls far enough, I do think that that's a guy that they'd go get. Which there's so many edge rushers this year that are first round worthy, apparently, that maybe this is the year where he goes up and grabs a guy. C. Fitch, thanks for the call, man.
I also feel like he might trade up for a wide receiver. That's something else that I just have an inkling about.
The right guy has to fall. That's really what it comes down to, because there's a lot of
100%.
day 2 receivers that I think that they'll like. So, all right, C. Fitch, we got to hit a break. Thanks for the call, man. All right, shout out C. Fitch. Shout out the Misfits, 317-228-1430. If you have any other sports moments that you just remember fondly. Coming up at 1:20, we will do another draft. And coming up here at 1 o'clock, we got Destin Adams on from A to Z Sports. But in 3 minutes, I'm going to tell you another prospect that is going to be a bust.
The best takes. Maybe. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Just did our best sports moments that we've been alive for. Draft coming up at 1:20. We're going to do our things that we need more of draft, and I'm so excited for that one. We got Buzzard on the line with a sports moment that he is fond of. What's going on, Buzzard? How are you?
Hey, pretty good, Jonathan. Hey, I've got, same as C-Fitch, I've got 3 total.
Okay.
And I can be quick with these. Number 1, easily, is the Bartman game.
Okay.
So
far
as, just as I had a bad feeling something was going to go wrong in that game. I chose to watch that alone. And as soon as Moises Alou started going nuts when he caught that ball, I knew that series was over as soon as that happened.
Yep.
So pretty memorable. Yeah. Second one would be, I'm old. So the 85 Bears Super Bowl.
Okay.
Reason being I was in the first grade. That was the first time that I was able to stay up past my bedtime. It ended super late, went to 10 o'clock, but that there was so much hype around that team. And my parents said they apparently I was an awful child and they just wanted to put me to bed, but they actually let me stay up till like 10:30 or whatever. Big deal in the Buzzard household.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably a good first Super Bowl to watch. Arguably the best team ever.
Awesome.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, very fun. So the third one is more unique to me. So 1997 in Indiana was the last year of no class sports for high school. So after that, and that was a big deal in Indiana because of the basketball sectionals and all that kind of stuff. So I got to play in the very last no class sectional in baseball, basketball. We won our only sectional game, and we had a class size of 44. So we beat Fort Wayne in 1997. Our third baseman went to Purdue. We had another guy that went to Akron. So we were like,
that helps.
Kind of an anomaly. And then we lost the second game because I pitched and blew the game, but that's okay.
That's not losing. Like, high school sports are so important because for a lot of people, it's like the last time that like you're getting to suit up, and those things, they stay with you forever. I mean, I'll go back for a high school reunion at some point, and I'm sure all we're going to talk about is what happened on the diamond. So that's a good one too.
Oh yeah, I gave up a 3-run home run against Fort Wayne Southside. I don't think it went to left field. It still has not yet landed. So that's okay. But those are my top 3. So
okay,
there you go.
That's a good list. Thanks for the call, Buzzard.
All right, man.
Yeah, no, I didn't even think about my high school days. I'll never forget. So there's a guy, his name's Connor Noland. He went to the University of Arkansas to pitch and to also play football. And he was just an awesome athlete. And he hit, thankfully we're not playing against them. He hit a home run. Same as Buzzard. Still hadn't landed. It was incredible. He was awesome. So NFL Draft is happening tonight. If you've got more sports moments that you were fond of and you want to call in, the number's 317-228-1430. And then coming up at 1:20, we're going to do another draft of things that we need more of. And then at 2:20, we're doing an Indianapolis sports and entertainment need. I'll be honest, I've really struggled to come up with 5 for that. I don't know how you did, Chris.
Maybe we should tie the 2 together. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's
because
fine. Yeah,
needs just have 5 of,
sounds good.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yep, that works. Okay. So no draft at 2:20. Sounds good. We'll figure it out. It'll be all right. All right. So the draft is going on. We got Ross on the line. Ross, what's going on, man?
Hey guys, I just wanted to throw my hat in the ring for the draft stuff. I I would say, you know, obviously a lot of them have been mentioned. The Colts winning the Super Bowl, the Cubs, Game 7, all that kind of stuff. Would you consider, I can't remember what we're actually, is it memorable or favorite moments? And
Both, really.
Yeah. Which ones
Both,
like really
like-
spoke to you when they happened? We were live to experience it live.
Okay, like, because I would say, like, I made a comment earlier about your shirt, Jonathan. You got the word Palace
Oh, yeah.
on there, and I think all of us would probably remember where, you know, maybe not you. You were probably in kindergarten or something, but I still remember I was a senior at Purdue, watching in our living room, and then it was on. We had a home football game the next day, so all the bars open at like 7 a.m. and everybody was just like, you would think they were watching the moon landing on all the TVs at like Harry's and all these bars. Like everybody, oh, you know, like when they kept showing Jermaine O'Neal slide and jack that dude, and it's just. I remember like within a minute, I'm thinking, there goes our championship, like, right, because I knew there'd be such fallout from that, and like, you know, we had just beaten the defending champion Pistons and all that. So, and then I remember like where I was when Andrew Luck said, hey, he's retiring, that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
it's funny how my wife makes fun of me that I can remember like the day our kid was baptized because we lost to the 0-7 Dolphins in like 2019, you know, just stuff like that. But
That's hilarious.
I would say, and Chris mentioned WrestleMania 6, the Ultimate Challenge, title for title, Hogan and Warrior.
Yeah.
Which I did see the first. I watched the first episode of the Hogan Netflix thing last night. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Had to have been at least 5 times. So to date myself, I'm not quite a year younger than Chris, but born in early '83. But to date myself, Jonathan, there used to be stores around Indy called Marsh, and
Okay.
back in the
Actually,
day, did you? So Chris remembers when you go to even like Marsh, any of those, they'd rent videotapes, and I think I got my mom to rent me WrestleMania 6 at least a half a dozen times
That's awesome.
to go home, you know, watch it and all that. But I would say maybe 3 that nobody's mentioned. One, the 8 points, 9 seconds with Reggie against the Knicks.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Win game 1. You know, I know 8 points, 9 seconds is a big one. For me, probably when Edie, I think, put up 40 or whatever against Dalton Connect in Tennessee to finally get to the Final Four a couple years ago.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That one. And then for me, I remember me and a lot of my family liked Phil back in the day too, in addition to Tiger and all that, when he finally made a charge on the back 9 at Augusta and hit that putt on 18 to win his first Masters and then his jump, like, I'm not sure if his vertical would have cleared a dime, but he was pretty happy. You know, it looked like me jumping up, you know. So
he's a credit card jumper. That's what we called him growing up.
But have a great day, fellas.
You too, Ross. Thanks for
Ross.
the call.
Thank you.
317-228-1430 for memorable. The Andrew Luck one is good. When he announced his retirement, that's one of those where, like, you remember where you're at for forever when that news comes through. And so I was on the couch watching preseason football, and then that breaks and takes the world by storm completely. So
Absolutely.
all right, real quick, here's my other bust for the upcoming NFL draft. So Arvell Reese is probably going to be the number 2 overall pick taken by the New York Jets. He's this edge rusher from Ohio State. Everybody loves him. He's probably going to be a stud. But I have some warning for whoever drafts him. Everyone wants him to be an edge rusher. It's why he could potentially be the number 2 overall pick. But he also played a lot of linebacker at Ohio State. So, like, sure, he can put his hand in the dirt and he can win on 3rd down. But I just don't know if he's going to be able to consistently do that in the NFL because of his size and just due to his lack of development. Like, I know he's an awesome athlete. I know he's only 20 years old. But NFL offensive tackles are also pretty great athletes. He's 6'4", 240 pounds. For reference, most edge rushers are closer to 260 pounds. So he's about 20 pounds too light. Maybe he's athletic enough to overcome that, but that's a lot of weight. He also wasn't a dominant pass rusher in college. Like his PFF grade as a pass rusher is lower than several former top 10 picks at edge who struggled as pros, guys like Tyree Wilson. If a team drafts him at 2 or 3 and they expect him to be like a double-digit sack guy immediately, like that's not going to happen. He's just too raw of a prospect in order for that to happen. You have to be a special kind of athlete to beat offensive tackles with pure athleticism. Maybe Arvell Reese is that good of an athlete, but that's a hard thing to count on. This pick to me would feel somewhat similar to Anthony Richardson being picked for the Colts. Arvell Reese is only 20 years old. You hear how old Anthony Richardson is all the time still. I think he's like 19 based on how often people bring it up. But Arvell Reese, young guy, only 20. People are talking more about his potential at a position that he split time at than they are his actual production. If I was the Jets, I would not take him second. I would take one of the other edge rushers that actually look like edge rushers and let someone else try to develop Arvell Reese. Gritty, what's going on? How are you?
Hello, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Gritty. I have no complaints. Indiana basketball is going to win the national title next year. They're probably going to win the national title in football too. So I'm doing great.
Hey, I never thought Indiana would win the national title in football, so you never know.
That's right. What's going on?
I was just going to tell you my top 3 favorite memories.
Okay, yeah, let's hear them.
Well, the first one would be IU's football season last year. I mean, the whole season was phenomenal. So many games, and they pull it out, and just to go undefeated and win the national championship.
Yeah, that's a good one. The whole year was fun, especially with the way that they just bludgeoned everybody. I mean, they dominated everyone from start to finish.
And then another moment, which is I'm kind of tired of talking about it, but at the time, me and my sister were at the Indiana-Kentucky basketball game when Christian Watford hit the last-second shot. And to be there at that moment was another just phenomenal moment. It was like, this is why I get season tickets for moments like this, because it was just so much fun.
Yeah, that happened. That was the one in 2007. It was a little bit after that. Tom Crean was still there, right? I don't even remember the year. I remember it though.
Yeah, Tom Crean was there.
Yeah, I remember that moment. Everyone went nuts. It was awesome.
Yeah, the kids stormed the court. It was pretty cool.
Absolutely.
And then my last moment is because I'm a hateful, vengeful person. Is when in 2004 when UConn beat Purdue in the final championship game. That's another moment I'll never forget.
That's awesome. That's the best answer I've heard yet. That's awesome, Gritty. I noticed there's nothing in there about running, which I don't think is a coincidence.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I've had some fun running moments, but those top 3 I listed are definitely more memorable.
Absolutely. Gritty, thanks
in your
for
race.
the call. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Right.
That is Gritty, another misfit. The misfits are showing up today.
Yeah,
a great
they are.
time. We've had 4 of them call in already. This is awesome. Coming up at 1:20, we will do another draft. This one's a little more free-flowing, just things that we need more of. A lot of ways that one can go. But before that, 1 o'clock, we got Destin Adams from A to Z Sports set to join the show to tell you who the Colts are going to pick. That's coming your way in 5 minutes.
Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Real Jonathan Smith Show getting underway. Thanks for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket. If you want to head over there and subscribe, maybe you're watching on X__Jonathan Smith, the Indy Sports Ticket app, or 1430 AM. No matter how you're listening, it is greatly appreciated. We've had a pretty good show so far today. A lot of good calls, and now we're about to have a really good guest. Let's bring in Destin Adams from A to Z Sports. Destin, what's going on? How are you?
Yeah, I mean, happy draft day. I think I'm doing what everyone's doing, us degenerates that study this year round. Just finished the old classic draft day movie that I had to get in once a year.
I liked the movie. I know it gets some flack, but I really enjoyed it.
I think enjoying it is one thing. Like, we don't think it's a good movie by any means.
Yeah.
But it's enjoyable. It does what I need it to do.
Like, that's totally fair. It's like Grown Ups is not a good movie, but it's enjoyable. Kind of,
yeah.
Same thing. I like that. That's good. All right, Destin, before we jump into the draft, which is obviously starting today, in honor of draft day, my producer and I, we're doing 3 drafts throughout the show. We opened with our favorite sports moments that like personally to us. So before we jump into the draft, do you have a sports moment that just sticks out in your mind a little bit more than all of the other ones?
Okay, so I'm going to give 2 because one's like recency bias, but I'll give you 2 just to put in football as well. Number one's going to be Tyrese Halliburton's game winner against the Knicks. Well, send to overtime shot against the Knicks. I was actually on vacation during that week in a hotel with me, my wife, my kids, and I'm just watching it in the background as the game is ending. He hits that shot, and I just lost my mind. My son started losing his mind as well. We actually got a noise complaint because we were just losing our minds so much after that shot. Had to explain to the security guard that came up that it was nothing crazy. We just saw Tyrese Halliburton shot, and he understood. So that's the first one. The second one, I'm going to say Colts-wise, I'm going to throw it back all the way to Vic Ballard's leaping touchdown against the Titans. Spinning in the air, taking a hit, scoring off of it. Like, I remember watching that play just thinking, like, how in the world does he do that? Like, how do you even get in the end zone? How do you contort your body in that way? And then just stands up after taking the massive hit in the air and doing a twirl, essentially. I always remember that play and just thinking that was insane.
Okay, that's a really good one. Joined by Destin Adams of A to Z Sports. You can check out his mock drafts. He had an article come out the other day where he answered a lot of various questions, over under 2.5 trades on draft day. Is Ballard going to take a linebacker early? So just a lot of interest, kind of hitting all the storylines for the Colts draft. And I want to open with, are you a sports gambling guy? Some people are, some people aren't.
Yeah. I dabble.
Okay. So I don't know if you've been paying attention to odds movement in terms of guys who are going to be drafted in the first round. But last night, the odds for Jacob Rodriguez to go in the first round increased. And the odds for Akeem Messidor to fall increased as well. And so I know that when you did your linebacker kind of focused draft, you talked a lot about Jacob Rodriguez. If he is a guy who ends up going before the Colts can take him at 47, who is the guy that you would like for them to kind of fall back on?
Yeah, I mean, to me, I think there's multiple linebackers that could make a lot of sense. I mean, Anthony Hill Jr. out of Texas is one that always comes up. I think he's a guy that has such a diverse skill set, someone that can do so many different things for Lou Anarumo's defense that I think I would really like that fit. I think another is Jake Galladay out of Cincinnati. He's a guy that I really think has shown a lot of promise as an edge rusher. Early in his career, made the move to off-ball linebacker, but still has the ability to rush the passer. And I think we've seen guys be able to do it here and there at the linebacker position, but having a guy that's a proven commodity at rushing the passer as an off-ball guy, I think could be a real weapon for a guy like Lou Anarumo. Those two are guys that come up to me on day 2, but I still stand by. I think this linebacker class is the deepest that I've ever personally scouted, to where if you don't take it in round 2, I know some fans will lose their mind because that room is so thin on this roster right now. But I really do think you can get day 1 starters in this class without it being in round 2 for the Colts.
Yeah. So because of the way you answered that, I'm assuming you don't like Jacob Rodriguez enough to seek Ballard trading up for him. You think that if he does go early, they'll sit back, they'll wait. They're probably going to trade down anyway. But what do you kind of?
I mean, it's nothing against Jake Rodriguez. I just don't think I like any player that's going to be in that end of the first, early second range for the Colts to be a team that trades up. I mean, first of all, they just don't have a lot of premium picks this year already. Trading up will make it even worse. I mean, they have 7 picks, 3 of which come in the 6th and 7th round, where is a range where a lot of people think it's a very thin group. A lot of guys that are going to have UDFA type of grades anyway. So the fact that you already only have those 4 picks ahead of that in rounds 2, 3, 4, and 5, it's a little rough. And I can't imagine Ballard, of the guy we've come to know over the years, is going to be willing to part with picks to move up. I honestly expect that the Colts' first pick is going to come outside the top 50.
It probably is. I know I was talking to Jake Arthur yesterday. He thinks they trade down to like 51 and they're able to grab Anthony Hill Jr. there. The thing that makes this draft so interesting to me, again, joined by Destin Adams. You can read his stuff over at A2ZSports.com. You can follow him on X at the Destin Adams. The thing that makes the draft interesting to me in terms of Ballard, I would think he's self-aware enough to kind of know that the end could be near. And I think when people kind of know that they're on the hot seat, they're a little more willing to act out of character. That is where the Akeem Messidor potentially falling, if Vegas is right, and they usually are, that's where it becomes really interesting to me, because you mentioned the linebacker room being thin. I think the edge rusher room's pretty thin as well. And I think Messidor, being a little bit older, 25 years old, I thought he looked really complete last year at Miami, like multiple pass rush moves, can convert speed to power, can even like drop back and play a little zone, which we saw Latu do a little bit last year as well. That is a guy where I do agree with you that I think they're more likely to trade back than up. That is the kind of player, though, I could see Ballard maybe breaking the rule for. What do you kind of think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think Messidor would be a really good fit. I mean, early in this process, I was one of those people that was really hoping that his age concerns and being such an older prospect would drive his stock down enough to where he could be on the board at 47. I doubt that's the case now. I still feel like he's probably going to squeeze into the first round. I just think the tape was too good. I think you could argue that during the college football playoff, he was actually the more dominant pass rusher than even Ruben Bain for Miami during the playoff, at least. As an Indiana Hoosiers fan, he was definitely the better player of the two in that game. And I think that tape is just going to be too good, that somebody's going to end up taking him, even though he's a little bit older. And I just really don't see Ballard being willing to entertain a trade up. Not at round 2. I could see a trade back from 47, which gives you enough capital that maybe you're able to make an aggressive move up like that in round 3, maybe even round 4 into the end of round 3, to try and get just like that additional pick in that like top 100 range. I could see that. If you're able to net enough in a trade down from 47. I do not think their first pick in this class, though, is going to come before 47.
Is there a guy late round that's going to go late round 3 that you like, that you could see the Colts potentially moving up for?
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll depend on what positions go in a run here. There could be some linebackers in that room, in that range, that could make a lot of sense, because you just never know with this day 2 class. I mean, there's guys that you think could be second rounders that could end up being third round guys just because of what positions go on runs. I think the positions specifically that I'd be looking at, linebacker, edge, receiver. I really think receiver is the one that a lot of people don't think the Colts are going to go on day 2 because there's so many defensive needs, but I really think the value at receiver in that round 3 range could be really, really good. I think you get a day 1 starter, and I think they want to replace Pittman's role for sure, but I think they want a little bit more juice maybe than what Pittman offered, which means there could be multiple guys that are going to give you a younger, faster, but can give you a very similar type of role to complement Alec Pierce and Josh Downs.
Yeah, I know you mentioned Elijah Surratt originally, potentially as like a round 3 guy. And then you mentioned juice. I don't know if he's going to have the juice, kind of like what you mentioned. I really like Stribling from Ole Miss. I do too. I think that's the guy everyone like has circled.
I wasn't expecting that, by the way. Like, so many people in Colts land have just been really high. He ended up being number 40 on my big board.
Okay.
I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan. I think what he does in open space is very impressive. I mean, the speed is obviously, you can't teach that. Has really good size. And I'm the type of person that just reads into all these pre-draft Colts videos they post. So when I saw that video posted by the Colts yesterday where Reggie Wayne's asking a guy, hey, why'd you transfer so many times? Like, my brain, and maybe it was my heart, just went straight to, that's got to be about Stribling.
Gotta be. Joined by Destin Adams from A to Z Sports.com. You can read his stuff there. You can also follow him on X at the Destin Adams. I think wide receiver is, from like a fan perspective, right? I think it is the easiest position for people to fall in love with guys. Because like seeing 6'3", 220, runs a 4.37, sign me up, you know? And so I think that's why there's a lot of Colts fans who really like him. Obviously, my whole thing is like, can you separate? It's part of why when I watched the Elijah Surratt film, which then again, I don't think that Indiana gave him a ton of opportunities to show that just because of how they used him. So that's my kind of concern with Surratt. Whereas like with Stribling, he's not only fast, I think he's really quick. I think the jump from college to pro in terms of the routes that you're asked to run, it's just so different. And I think there's two positions in the NFL that people don't realize how talented these guys are. It's corner and offensive tackle. It's why it can take edge rushers a little longer to kind of adjust. I think it's why it can take receivers a little bit longer to adjust. And so, but yeah, back to my original point. I think it's really easy to fall in love with 6'3", 220 and runs a 4.3.
Yeah, I mean, fully understand. I think if I was just going to give another receiver just to like have it out there, a guy like Skylar Bell out of UConn isn't as big as Dribbling. He's going to be right under 6 foot, but he's a guy that can play on the outside, can play in the slot. I think he'd play on the outside in Indy. You talked about separating. I think he's an elite separator. He's a guy that can do it at a very high level, has done it on the outside, has deep threat ability, which could make teams have to really respect both sides of the field and not put so much attention on Alec Pierce, and has incredible speed at the position. He's a guy that I think checks a lot of boxes that the Colts could like and could be there in round 3.
Joined by Destin Adams from A to Z Sports.com. You can read all the stuff there. You mentioned that you were an IU fan. So there's two guys that I want to ask you about before I let you go. What was kind of your thoughts on Mendoza? I love him. I think 6'5" with a good arm always has a chance. I like Kubiak being the new head coach in Vegas. We know fit's really important. I think he's a quarterback-friendly coach. I think he's going to find success there. What are kind of your thoughts on Mendoza, who's probably going to be the number 1 overall pick?
Yeah, I mean, I thought I was high on him as a transfer that year. I mean, he was my number 1 quarterback in the portal. But, I mean, I did not expect him to play so well that we only got 1 year out of him. I was one of those believers that, and why he was my number 1 guy in the portal, I was like, man, Indiana could get him in here. He could be here for 2 years. I think he could play at a really high level, be an upgrade to what they had from Rourke even. Obviously, he was that upgrade from Rourke. He outplayed the needing to be there for 2 years. I mean, I think Mendoza, he shined obviously with his leadership and what he would be able to do with the guys and how much the team rallied around him. But I mean, I think the film doesn't get talked about enough because those things just take the headline for him so much, to where people are starting to act as if he's this overrated number 1 overall pick, when in reality, like, you turn on his film and you see him layer passes that you just don't see a lot of guys do, especially on the sideline. He has some gut shots that he just puts all of it into. I think he's gotten this reputation of being this like safer quarterback that doesn't take risks, and I just don't understand where that comes from, because when you watch him on film, I mean, this guy just took some shots, and he was willing to layer it over 2 defenders, find the open spot, have pinpoint accuracy when he does it. I mean, he's just the type of guy that I don't see how he doesn't have success in the NFL.
He reminds me a lot of Justin Herbert. He's a little quirky in terms of his personality. I don't think that's a bad thing. He's obviously not as athletic, doesn't have as big of an arm, but a little more of a drive thrower. Really smart. I like him a lot. And again, I think he's going to work out really well. Now let's get to it's probably my favorite guy in the draft. He seems like he's coming in as wide receiver 3 or 4 on a lot of people's boards. I love Omar Cooper Jr. He is everything I want in a wide receiver. He is supersized Josh Downs. Like, if Josh Downs was 6 foot, I think he would look a lot like Omar Cooper Jr. Can separate, has the speed to stretch the defense. We saw the reception against Penn State to, just insane. Love everything about him. Probably, it seems like he's going to go mid to late first. What are kind of your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I mean, he's another guy I thought I was high on throughout the year. Wasn't expecting him to go into the first round range, but I think a lot of it came into play of just how few elite talent there is in this class at the top. So eventually 32 guys got to go. And I mean, he ended up being a top 32 player for me on my big board. He's a guy that is a yak machine. He finds opening in zone, and then he's going to make you pay for letting him get the ball in open space. That's why I thought it's so funny, because anytime the number one play anyone wants to talk about with Omar Cooper is that catch, obviously, because it's insane. Watching it, I still have no idea how he was able to try to get the first foot down, find a way to make a decision mid-catch of, oh, this foot's not getting down, let me pull that foot up and try to get the other foot down, and kind of just levitated there. One of the craziest catches I've ever seen in my entire life, and I don't think it could have happened to a better person. I mean, he's a guy that is an Indiana kid, went to Indiana, was there through a lot of rough Indiana football moments, and was able to really experience what these last 2 years was, by being a very key contributor on that Hoosiers team. He's a leader. He's a guy that can do it all and is not afraid to do a lot of the ugly work that some receivers aren't willing to do. Him being such a willing blocker, and not just willing, but a good blocker at his size, able to play on the outside in the slot. He's just a guy that can wear so many hats, and that's so valuable at a position that every team is looking for a different style of receiver in the class. And you look at Omar Cooper and you're like, oh, he can play the slot. He can play outside. He can block. He can make catches downfield. He can be a yak guy. So the question is, like, what can't he do? And I think that's why he's a guy that's worked his way into being that mid-round, late-round, first-round pick.
I really hope the Niners take him at 27. I think that'd be a great place for him to kind of fill a Deebo Samuel kind of role. All right, Destin, I lied. We have one more thing for you. My producer has an IU trivia question for you that he wanted to run by you. So, Chris, go ahead.
I'm sure you can hit this. You can't see me on the screen right now, but I'm sure you can hear me.
I got you.
When was the last time an IU player was drafted in the first round?
Oh, man. The last IU player to go in the first round.
I don't know the answer. I'll come clean. I've got no idea.
This was the question.
It's definitely got to be 19 something. I mean, it's definitely not in the 2000s.
You're in the neighborhood. Yep, that's correct.
Yeah, you got 99 years to choose from now.
I'm gonna go a decade just to give me enough of a wriggle room here. I'm gonna say it happened in the 80s, 1980s.
Not quite. It's actually 1994. Number 24 pick, Thomas Lewis by the New York Giants.
That's 4 years before I was born, but hey, go Hoosiers.
There you go.
That's right.
Thanks,
Destin,
buddy.
Thanks for your time, man. I'm assuming you're going to have when you have articles rolling out, you're going to have anything out tonight, or are you waiting until after the Colts start making some selections?
Yeah, so I'll have my first round prediction article that's going to come out pretty soon after I get off here. I'm going to submit that through, and then I'll have, before the first round gets started, I'll have my final predictive Colts 7-round mock draft, just predicting who I think they're going to target and where they're going to do it. It should be an interesting one to watch.
Okay, sounds good. Destin, thanks for your time, man.
Thanks, man.
You got it. That is Destin Adams. You can check him out on X at the Destin Adams. He does a great job covering the Colts. You can also read all the stuff over at A2ZSports.com. And in about 3 minutes, draft number 2 on the show today. It is draft day. We are looking at things that we need more of, whether that's local Indianapolis things or things in general. That draft is in 3 minutes.
fits in today's sports world. It's here. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, X, the Indy Sports Ticket app, 1430 AM, no matter what it is. Thank you for tuning in. And it is 1:20, which means it's time for our next draft of the day, getting into things that we need more of. And this, you can really kind of go anywhere here. This was purposefully open-ended. Very intrigued to kind of see where everybody goes on it. Chris, can I have the first pick here since you had the first pick in the last draft?
Exactly. You get the first pick.
Okay. With the first pick of the 2026 things we need more of draft, I'm going to say common sense.
I know that's right.
There's too many idiots out there. Way too many.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been looking at the YouTube chat, but they're talking about people weaving in and out of traffic. Otter Creek, great point. You're weaving in and out of traffic to get somewhere 1 minute faster. Common sense says it's not worth it. Okay? And so we need more common sense. Less AI and more CS.
That's your number one pick.
More common sense. That is my number one overall pick.
I would agree with that 110%. My first pick for things that we need, obviously a serious one, and then I got some silly ones, but my first one overall will always be mental health resources. It's super important. I think we have a lot of them now, but we can never have too much, and I'm going to tie kindness along with that. You don't know what the person next to you is going through, so can we just be kind? Kind and common sense. Good first round picks right there.
All right. My second pick. That is a good one, by the way. None of mine are serious. Just to make
That's
that
fair.
clear
No,
right
that's
now.
okay.
We need more lanes on the interstate. Every time there's an accident, this is always my first thought. If we had one more lane, things wouldn't be this clogged up. If we had one more lane, then that's more room for me to go by people who are driving slow. We need more lanes on the interstate. Every 2-lane interstate should be 3. Just add one more on every interstate possible. You're already doing all the construction around Indianapolis. It's taken you 7 years to do it. Might as well just throw in one extra lane.
I would 110% agree with that. You know what's funny, everybody listening, we didn't look at each other's draft choices before this went down, and that was actually my second pick as well.
I'm sorry, that's twice.
More lanes.
I'm taking your pick.
Because when I lived in Denver, it's obviously more people.
You lived in Denver?
I did.
I didn't know that.
The interstates are so much wider there. There's a lot more people, but there was rarely traffic like we have on 465, 70, and stuff like that here.
Okay.
So good choice, man. Good choice. My second pick is obviously going to be music related. My number 2 pick for something that we need, Indiana based, this time is music festivals, because all surrounding states seem to get, their Coachellas, or, there's Sonic Temple over in Ohio. There's Louder Than Life down in Kentucky. And then Michigan will have a festival. Where's our music festival? We need a 3-day, 4-day festival here. Doesn't matter what kind of music. Let's just bring it here. We've got the resources and the space to do it. Why are we not hosting music festivals?
That's great. That's a really good one.
There you go.
That's a great one. I got to figure out where I'm going with my third pick here. All right. Let's go. All right. We need more professional sports teams, like highest level professional sports teams in Indianapolis. Going to an Indy Fuel game is fun. So it's a nice way to spend an evening, but I would rather go to an NHL playoff game here locally in Indianapolis. So can we find a way to bring an NHL team here to Indy? That is something that I think we need here in this great state.
I feel that all the minor league teams kind of feels like it sets the tone for the state, does it not?
Yeah, it does.
It's nobody takes us seriously because we've got all these minor league teams and two pro teams.
It's a great point. Didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Was that it?
Yep, that's it.
Okay.
That's what I got.
Cool. With my third pick for things that we need just in everyday life in this situation, regular sales of Girl Scout cookies.
Yes.
Can we make this year round?
Why is it that's a great call.
Just a seasonal thing, dude? I want Thin Mints more than one time a year.
Tag-alongs. That's what I like.
There you go.
Dude, it's probably good because if they sold tag-alongs, my wife likes them more than I do, and they're not cheap.
This is also true.
It's like $8 a box.
I know it, dude. We have to get a second job just for Girl Scout cookies.
Preferably one where I'm like moving boxes so I can work the weight off that I'm going to put on eating them.
Very good.
That's a really good one. I'm jealous that I didn't think of that. That's a great one.
All
right. For my fourth pick, I need more kids to start garage bands because garage bands are just cool, you know? And there's like so many kids now. Like I just remember watching like my youngest brother grow up where because of just like how online everything is, kids just do things by themselves. Or if they do something with somebody else, it's via a Wi-Fi connection, which is fine. You know, it's better than nothing.
Sure.
But there's nothing like getting your buddies together and like making music or getting your buddies together and playing wiffle ball. So I guess that's really what it is. We need kids to hang out in person more.
Like we did before all the technology.
Dude, we used to get after it. We would play tackle football in my friend's front yard, and just like every kid from the neighborhood would show up.
Yeah.
We'd have like juniors in high school playing against 8-year-olds.
It was good times, man. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so more of that. I say that because Amelia and I, we played pickleball last night with our small group, and they had like this big field in like the middle of this neighborhood where there's like tennis courts and pickleball courts and just this wide open field. And we looked out there, and to their credit, there were like 2 dads and like 20 kids.
Yeah.
And they were all together. It was awesome.
Good stuff. Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. All right. My next one coming, I believe it's my fourth pick, and I think this is already in progress, and it'll probably happen sooner than later, but we need more Buc-ee's locations.
No,
I'm going to say it right now. It's happening. It's one of the best things I've ever seen in my life, and they're spreading, but I need it to happen a little faster. Can we get some more Buc-ee's?
That's a good one. Yeah, I'm with you. Can I give an honorable mention? I didn't think of this, so
you got a trade? You making a trade over there?
No, I don't pronounce this guy's name right, so I'm just gonna call him JG. JG on X said that we need to host the NFL draft.
Absolutely.
I'll be honest. I think all of the other NFL cities would want to like, you know, they would just declare war on Indianapolis. It's like you guys get the combine and you get the draft.
You know, this was a story, I think, on Fox 59 this morning. They were talking about Indianapolis potentially being a draft city. I don't remember what was said exactly, but yeah.
Yeah. And so that's which, look, Indianapolis does a great job of hosting events. It would be a great place to host the draft. So I think that's a good idea. Here's my last one, though. Things we need more of. Colts wins. We need the Colts to be good.
I see what you did there.
Selfishly. Because the show is better when the Colts are good. When they go 4-13 this year, probably not that bad. But like what are we going to talk about on Wednesday? Hey, guys. Same thing again. Colts suck. Fire Ballard. Are we just going to do fire Chris Ballard every Wednesday this year? I mean, seriously. We need the Colts to win more football games.
We get Ballard a day-to-day contract or something.
Oh, man.
All right. Was that your last one?
Yeah, that was my fifth one.
Okay. I believe we have a trade. I'm actually trading my fifth pick to the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay.
All right. Are you ready to hear who the Dallas Cowboys are selecting with my trade pick?
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
The Dallas Cowboys select these nuts.
There you go. That's a solid pick right there.
Great.
Who wouldn't
Great
pick that?
pick.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Good draft.
That's awesome.
Solid.
Good job, Jerry Jones. That's hilarious. Okay. That's awesome. Oh my gosh. That's hilarious.
There are a lot of things that we need, but you know, everybody needs these nuts, right?
Oh my gosh.
All right,
That's
man.
awesome. Okay. I'm not gonna make a pick any better than that.
You're
That
so
was
red
incredible.
right now.
That was hilarious. That was awesome. All right, I have a question for you. John Buzzard has a question for both of us. Okay, have you seen the photo of Russell Wilson the day that he got drafted
Yes.
and his girlfriend
Yes.
that he breaks up with later?
Right.
I'm assuming you've seen the video of CD Lamb where he's got two phones and his girlfriend tries to take one and he takes it away.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. If you were getting drafted and you were dating someone, would you tell them to stay home to avoid that moment?
I'm gonna let you answer that one first
I don't think you can.
because you're currently
I'm married.
married, right?
And so, like, obviously, Amelia would be there because we're married.
right.
But if I wasn't, I feel like if you say, hey, this is one of the biggest moments of my life, and I do not want you to be there for it, I just don't think I don't think that's gonna go well.
No.
For
You're
anybody.
sleeping on the couch that night, bro.
I think you have to bring them, no
Yeah.
matter what.
I would agree with that. If it's not somebody that you're married to, that you're maybe just dating or you've been in a relationship with, I think it might be okay if you know they're going to be around whenever you turn into Russell Wilson these days, right? Like
Mhm.
if you're in that position, I know he's like married now to Sierra or
Yeah,
whatever, right? Still married. But if they're not going to be there for the bad times, and I know for sure that they're not, then no, they can stay home that night on that special night I get drafted.
That's totally fair. I don't know, man.
Good question, though.
That is a really good question.
Yeah.
Did you see that Mike Vrabel is going to see counseling?
Oh yeah.
Did you also see the photo of Mike Vrabel kissing Diana Rossini in a bar 6 years ago?
Ooh, I missed that one.
Yeah, C. Fitch tagged me in it, and it's pretty incredible.
Were you
man.
there? He tagged you in it like you were there at the bar when it happened?
Yeah, it happened. C. Fitch was like, Jonathan, look,
That's you.
that's Diana Rossini and Mike Vrabel. It's like, oh,
Are we sure it's not AI?
it's way too grainy.
Okay.
Like if you here, let me see if I can send it to you, or if you just go to C. Fitch's profile on X, it should pop up. I would assume under like replies or something because he definitely tagged me in it. I think that C. Fitch, did you delete it or did someone else tag me?
Oh
in
no,
it?
I see it.
Okay.
Oh
Yeah, you
the
see it.
red light special happening and everything.
That's
right
what I'm
there.
saying. There's no way that's AI. No way.
Huh.
And I just, shout out Mike Vrabel for doing exactly what you're supposed to do when this happens. He pulled a Tiger Woods. Like, do you remember when it came out that, Tiger, the first time he wrecked his car and we find out that, he's been cheating on his wife and all this kind of stuff. And we find out that he's had sex with like 15 different women. And he comes out and he goes, guys, I'm a sex addict and I'm going to counseling.
Yeah.
Now that I'm older, at the time I was just like, good for him, being a child. Now that I'm older, I'm like, my guy, those are backup small forward numbers. Like these NBA and NFL guys who are traveling, especially NBA guys who are traveling way more than NFL guys are. 15 rookie numbers. That's just, saving face, trying to move on. And that's like that's what this is, He's going to go find Jesus for like a couple of weeks, and then we're all going to forget about it because they're going to win football games again. So he's just got to survive this slow period. And that's it.
Yeah. ESPN saying that he's going to miss day 3 of the draft. Mike Vrabel is to go and do the counseling. What counseling places are open on Sunday? But I don't know.
Great question.
You know what I mean?
Also, if it's really that important, shouldn't you miss like tonight?
Oh wait, that would be
Or-
Saturday, right?
Yeah,
Day 3. Okay.
Saturday. Yeah. But still,
Yeah.
if it was that important to you, like wouldn't you have already gone? Why are you waiting? This happened months ago.
Well, now that it's public, you're now required to go to your counseling, and it's kind of like they give you a public service or whatever whenever you go to jail, and they say you can go, but this is required. This is now required for his public viewing.
That's exactly what it
Yeah.
is. It's just a PR thing. It's what everybody does. So, all right, we're having a lot of fun today. This is so good. 2:20. We're doing our last draft. We made a little audible. Instead, we're going to draft comedians. and I can't wait because as someone who is considered multiple times going to open mic nights on Tuesday nights at Helium, I'm so excited to do this because I freaking love stand-up comedy. I also love the NFL draft. The Colts do not have a first-round pick this year. The first-round pick is Sauce Gardner, which is okay for now. I don't think we're going to be okay with that next year. I'll tell you why in 3 minutes.
It may, one day, be a must-listen for sports enthusiasts.
Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt.
Uh-oh. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Yeah. Golfers, listen up. Your ultimate golf adventure is here. The 2026 Indiana Golf Card is your ticket to 8 incredible rounds of golf for more than 80% off, valued at over $300. You can get yours for just $60. The Indiana Golf Card covers your green fees at 8 different courses across central Indiana, starting tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Go to IndySportsTicket.com, click on that Sweet Deals tab to get your card before they're gone. It's a great deal. If you like to play golf, get out there and save yourself some money. $60 to play at 8 different courses. That's an absolute steal. An absolute steal. Speaking of a steal, As of right now, it looks like the Colts did okay in terms of their trade for Sauce Gardner, but I think next year it is going to look like a steal for the New York Jets. The Colts gave up their first-round pick both this year and next year for former Jets corner Sauce Gardner, who had the audacity to tell us about what a playoff team looks like when he himself previously played for the New York Jets. It also doesn't seem like he's going to let us forget anytime soon that he's this year's first-round pick. He said that the other day. I just not a fan of that. But as of right now, based on this draft, it doesn't seem like the Colts are missing out on too much. Sure, they could have benefited from landing one of the better receivers in the draft, which they could have done with the 16th pick. Keldrick Falk, a 6'6", 250-pound edge rusher out of Auburn, would have been a nice pickup for the Colts given their needs. But this year, there's not a guy that's going to go 16th in the draft that'll be better than Sauce Gardner. Currently, I don't mind the trade, especially when you remember the context of why the trade was made. The Colts made the trade when it looked like they were going to have a chance to make a playoff run. The frustration is going to come next year. It's going to happen because the Colts are going to be bad this year. If the Colts go 8-9 or 9-8, I'll be surprised. I think as of right now, we'll see how the draft goes. As of right now, this is a team that is going to win at most 7 games. I think it's going to be closer to 5 or 6. Given that I don't think Daniel Jones is going to be very good coming off of a torn Achilles. When that happens, it'll be time for the Colts to go find a new quarterback. The issue is next year is the quarterback draft. Arch Manning, Lenore Sellers, Dante Moore, Nico Iamaleava, or any other quarterback that jumps off the screen. Josh Hoover could come to Indiana, have a similar year to what Fernando Mendoza did, and be a first-round selection next year. You know that's why he went to Indiana. He wants to do something similar. So there's going to be a quarterback that no one is thinking about for next year that has a really good year and pops up on everybody's radar and ends up earning the right to be a first-round pick. This is another reason why the Colts have to be good this year. You can't hand the Jets another top 10 pick because they're going to be bad as well. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if that's what the Colts ended up doing next year. And it'll burn twice as much because not only will the Colts not have a 2027 first-round pick, they'll miss out on the opportunity to potentially draft the franchise quarterback that they've been looking for ever since Andrew Luck left. It's a problem. So right now, I think everybody's okay with it. But next year, we're going to be frustrated. Okay? Again, this is another reason why the Colts have to be good this year. Okay? This needs to be an excellent Chris Ballard draft. We need Chris Ballard to work his magic, if he has any, to put together an excellent draft class. And to his credit, he's done it before. When you go back to the 2018 NFL draft, he found 6 players that at one point were important to the Indianapolis Colts. Okay? The 6 are Quentin Nelson, still playing offensive guard for the Colts, an absolute stud, going to be a Hall of Famer. The next guy was Shaq Leonard, who battled some injuries, but before the injuries, he was a pretty good player. Braden Smith was with the Colts for 8 years. Still in the league. Going to go play for Houston next year. Tyquan Lewis was a good third down pass rusher before the injuries piled up. Naheem Hines was taken in that draft. He was a good third down back. Could spell Jonathan Taylor. Could return punts and kickoffs. And then you had Zaire Franklin, who, as much as I rip on him, the truth of it is that dude was a 7th-round pick who ended up being a guy who led the NFL in tackles at one point, even though all of those tackles came 8 yards down the field. You know, he still made them, I guess. Only one of those guys ended up being a great player. That's obviously Quentin Nelson. But all the other guys had roles that they could fill, and they filled them decently well before all of the injuries piled up. That is the kind of that is the kind of draft that Chris Ballard needs to have this year. If he can find a star with that 47th pick or 51st pick, because they're probably going to trade down. If he can find a star, if they can grab Anthony Hill Jr. and Anthony Hill Jr. comes in and he looks like Dre Greenlaw or Fred Warner right off the rip, then check. There's your star. And then if they could just find 4 players who can contribute in any sort of role, if they can find a good third down edge rusher, if they can find, just like a sure-handed wide receiver who can find holes against zone coverage, if they can find, they just have so many needs. I'm having to work through all of them in my head. Edge rusher, linebacker. If they can find another rotational defensive tackle or something like that, 1 star and 4 players who can contribute in a solidified role, that is what I think the Colts need in order to have an opportunity to make the playoffs this next year. The issue is that's really hard to do even when you have a first-round pick. It becomes much tougher when you don't have a first-round pick. So it is going to be quite the uphill battle for the Colts going forward, especially when you look at the lack of draft capital this year and the fact that they're going to have to give up their better picks just to earn more picks, which Chris Ballard doesn't mind. He said last year his whole drafting philosophy is, the more picks you have, the better of an opportunity that you have of landing a star, which isn't entirely true. You would like the first pick, not, the 104th pick or whatever it is. So it's it's an interesting thing. So Chris, it's happening again. We talked about Diana Rossini and Mike Vrabel for 2 minutes. I clicked over on my X tab to see if we've had any draft news or anything, and it's just Diana Rossini everywhere. She's all over my feed. It's kind of nuts. I mean, memes, jokes, come on.
They should make her the special guest for the draft tonight. What's it called whenever they put a star in the pace car at the 500? They're like a honorary person or whatever. I think that's what she should do for the draft tonight.
It's kind of insane. I'm seeing all these clips where, it's like Mike Vrabel when he's doing his counseling, and it's like a clip from some show. Someone's like, that photo of them kissing was 6 years ago. Fun fact, apparently Diana Rossini has two kids in the last 6 years. So now there's questions about that. It's just,
what, going to get a DNA test?
they might have to. This whole thing is just, it's insane. John Buzzard, that is a great idea. Diana Rossini should definitely announce the Patriots' first pick.
That's what I was just going to say.
I think she is the Patriots' first pick.
Yeah, well, we know it's Vrabel's first pick.
That's right. She's Vrabel's first pick.
Woo.
So just man, could you imagine being one of their spouses right now?
Well, you made the bed. You got to lay in it. That's all I'm going to say.
I guess. I mean, I don't know. What did Diana Rossini's husband do wrong?
Well, yeah, true. You should never play where you work, though. That's rule number 1.
Yeah,
no matter what job you have.
I don't feel bad for Rossini and Vrabel. Everything they're getting, they deserve. It's could you imagine, you're married to Diana Rossini, and you just want a mental break from everything. So you pull out your phone, and you get on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, and it's just here's your wife kissing this person 6 years ago. That would just suck. That would be terrible. I would get rid of my phone, honestly, if I was involved in that situation in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I would probably go into hiding for a good, 6 months to a year.
I wouldn't talk to anybody. I would pull a Steve Bartman in honor of what Buzzard said earlier. That dude went into hiding after touching the ball in that 2003 NLCS game. I mean, jeez. No way. This can't be true, right? One NFL insider says that someone in the Titans organization released the photos of Rabel and Rossini. There's no way. Even though, I don't know, man. The Titans owner's kind of petty. So maybe. I don't know. Will anything, I'm trying to think. Is this the biggest, let's call it, is this the biggest like scandal that we've seen in the NFL in like in the last decade?
I mean, this is obviously the biggest one because it's fresh and it's happening right now. But
Yeah.
you'd have to think about
The Laramie Tunsil bong video was up there. That's what we should have drafted. We should have drafted NFL scandals.
Yeah.
We can do that tomorrow. Or just sports scandals.
Sure.
Which is more I don't want to say damning. Yeah, which is more damning or problematic? This one with Vrabel and Rossini, or Chauncey Billups getting arrested by the FBI with all the poker stuff that they were doing?
I would probably just choose this one now because there's a lot of parties involved, spouses and families and kids.
Good point.
I would probably go that route.
Oh man,
Not to justify anything that was happening.
this can't be real either.
Or what are you on, like TMZ or something?
I'm just on X and I'm seeing all this stuff. Apparently, Diana Rossini named her firstborn son Mike.
Get out of here. Now you're making up stories.
No way. No way. Oh, jeez. This is, jeez, man. This is just absolutely insane. We're way off the rails, but this is fascinating. This is like the NFL draft is happening today, and that is not the main story. I think everybody's more intrigued by Rossini and Vrabel. And I think part of that's because like this isn't some great draft. Just insane stuff here.
They were like, hey, the draft is really boring. Let's get a story going so we can put the two together and get some ratings.
Yeah, I'm floored by it. I do feel bad for their spouses, but everything that comes to them, they probably deserve.
You know what the first pick from Mike Vrabel is going to be, right?
Who's it going to be?
Booty cheeks.
Nah, you're
Thanks,
on fire
Dan.
today, man. That's funny. You're on a roll today, Chris. All right. The show is on a roll. The show's flying today. A lot of laughter today. It's been a good time. We've got some important gambling movements in terms of stuff that's going to impact the Colts and the draft. I'll have that movement for you in about 4 minutes.
this. It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
We are rocking and rolling today. Hour number 3 of the Real Jonathan Smith Show getting underway. Thanks for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket. If you want to head over there and subscribe, maybe you're watching the show on X _ Jonathan Smith to follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on that Indy Sports Ticket app. We are going to get to some of the odds movement for the NFL draft, but I want to put a bow on this Vrabel story, and then we can get to it. So if you want to bet, if you're going to make a bet tonight, I think this is a good one to make. Chris, hit the conspiracy sounder. All right. So Mike Vrabel is scheduled to speak to the media tonight only if the Patriots make a pick. This report's coming from Mark Daniels, by the way. So Mike Vrabel is only going to speak tonight if the Patriots make a pick. If they trade out of the first round, Elliott Wolf is scheduled to talk on Friday. And then Saturday, Ryan Cowden is going to speak after the draft. So if the Patriots trade out of the first round, Mike Vrabel won't speak to the media again until May 27th. The Patriots are going to trade out of the first round. If I could bet anything to happen tonight, the Patriots trade out of the first round because I bet they're tired of this circus. I bet that they don't want to deal with it anymore. Look for the Patriots to trade out of the first round to avoid more public embarrassment. I have also seen not idiots. It's a bit harsh. I have also seen people that don't think critically.
That's the best way you could have put it.
Yeah.
Man. There you go.
I have seen people who don't use their critical thinking skills say things like, get ready for Josh McDaniels to be the Patriots interim head coach. Can they continue to employ Mike Vrabel after this? Do you know who the Patriots owner is? Robert Kraft was getting handies from Asian masseuses. I promise they're not firing Mike Vrabel over this. Okay? It's not going to happen.
Yeah, this is child's play compared to that.
Robert Kraft's probably dapping him up like, yo, Mike, I knew we brought you back for a reason. Seriously, he's not going anywhere. But Mike Vrabel is staying. He's going to stay with the Patriots for as long as he wants to be there. Robert Kraft is not getting rid of that guy. Okay? It's not happening. So again, bet the Patriots to trade out of the first round so that Mike Vrabel doesn't have to endure any more public shaming, because you already know he's going to get asked questions about this going forward, especially if he has to talk tonight. You know, if he has to wait for a month before he has to address the media again, then, you know, that would probably be in his best interest, probably in the Patriots' best interest as well. Okay. Moving on here. Important gambling movement that you need to know if you're betting the NFL draft tonight. If you've ever walked into a massive gold-plated casino and wondered how they paid for all those things, and that $500 million crystal chandelier that's shining from the ceiling, the answer is pretty simple. They know what's going to happen before it happens. They knew that the backup quarterback was going to trip in the fourth quarter. They knew that some important superstar wasn't going to play, and they knew it wasn't going to matter as much as everyone else thought it was going to. Okay? The Vegas Sharps don't just set the lines. They just leak spoilers. That's really what they do. They are telling you what's going to happen before it happens. This is important to know because we had some interesting odd shifts last night for the NFL draft today. And some of them directly impact what the Colts are going to do in the second round of the NFL draft. Here are some of the players where the odds have shifted in the Vegas sports books to where they believe it will be more likely for them to be drafted in the first round. Ty Simpson, Peter Woods, Caleb Lomu, and Jacob Rodriguez. Here's a list of players where, according to Vegas, it's now less likely for them to become a first-round pick. Akeem Mesidor, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, Jermod McCoy, Chase Bizantis, and Cassius Howell. Some of the players on this list directly impact what the Colts are going to do with that 47th pick. I have seen Jacob Rodriguez mocked to the Colts at 47 more than anybody else. So I would say it's fair to say that the Colts are probably going to be interested in Jacob Rodriguez if he's available at that point. But obviously, if Vegas is telling you he might go in the first round, then I doubt he's going to be available at pick 47. That raises two questions. One, who else do they like? And two, do they like Jacob Rodriguez enough to pull the trigger and trade up? We had Destin Adams on earlier. I thought he did a really good job of laying out why they won't do that. There's a lot of other similar linebackers who can do a lot of what Jacob Rodriguez does. In addition to that, they need to fill a lot of needs in this draft if they're going to be good this year. And when you trade up, you have to sacrifice more draft capital. So I doubt that they move up to draft Jacob Rodriguez. Personally, I hope they don't. I like Anthony Hill Jr. more than I like Jacob Rodriguez. There's a few things in sports you cannot teach. Size and speed. Anthony Hill Jr. is bigger and faster than Jacob Rodriguez. He's also had more successful seasons playing linebacker in college. Jacob Rodriguez originally went to West Virginia to play quarterback, and it didn't work out. So he transferred to Texas Tech, and he started playing linebacker. Okay? Anthony Hill Jr., more success. He's a better athlete. He's a bigger athlete, and he's a better blitzer, something that you need to be able to do when you're playing linebacker for Lou Anarumo. If the Colts are looking to go linebacker with that 47th pick, then I don't know why you trade up for Jacob Rodriguez if you think Anthony Hill Jr. could be available with that 47th pick. C.J. Allen, linebacker out of Georgia, talked about him a little bit yesterday. Love his game as well. So if you can get one of those two guys at pick 47 or 51, if the Colts decide to trade back, then there's obviously no need to trade up and grab Jacob Rodriguez. Now, here is something that could throw a wrench in this plan to potentially take a linebacker with that 47th pick, with that second-round pick. If Akeem Mesidor falls, edge rusher from Miami. Now, Vegas is hinting at this. This is a guy who I think everyone thought was going to be a late first-round pick. Vegas telling us last night that there's now a chance that he falls out of the first round. That is a guy Chris Ballard should 1,000% trade up for. There's only one problem with Akeem Mesidor, and that's that he's 25 years old. It's probably part of why he's falling in the draft, because why draft a 25-year-old why draft a 25-year-old who is a complete player when you can draft a 22-year-old pass rusher who might one day become a complete player? It's a great question, you know? But again, Akeem Mesidor is incredibly complete. 12.5 sacks last year for Miami, and he can do everything. He can defend the run. He's a power rusher, something that Leatu Latu is not. He's got some go-to moves. Another thing that Leatu Latu doesn't have. He has an explosive first step. He kind of reminds me of Dwayne Wade. Like if Dwayne Wade decided to play football instead of basketball and put on, 50 pounds, I think he would look like Akeem Mesidor. Akeem Mesidor uses like a Euro step. Again, nod to Dwayne Wade. He uses this like Euro step that really gives offensive tackles trouble. He can convert speed to power on his bull rush, and he can just overwhelm tackles with brute force. He also brings a really nice swim move. He's got a little cross chop. He's got really long arms, so he can get his hands out quickly and get his hands on the offensive tackle first. He's got good bend to kind of bend back around into the pocket and grab sacks that way. Now, he's not Von Miller, but bend in an edge rusher is so important. Okay. And again, he doesn't have Von Miller level bend, who got paid a ton of money just because he was super flexible. But he is flexible. And that's another thing that doesn't really pop out when you watch Leatu Latu. I don't think he bends as you would want an edge rusher to. My point is, though, even though Akeem Messidor is older, he's complete, which makes me more willing to draft him even though he's 25. I think there's a decent chance that, let's say the Colts do take him. I think that there's a decent chance that he shows up and he's the Colts' best pass rusher right off the rip. The other thing that I really like about Messidor is because he's a little bigger, he can line up in multiple spots. He can come off the edge, or you can move him inside to defensive tackle in obvious passing situations, and he can rush the passer from that defensive tackle spot. This was one of the attractive things about taking Jalen Tuimoloau in the second round last year. By the way, how bad do you have to be eligible, to be good enough, or to be big enough and athletic enough to play 4 different positions on the defensive line and yet still never really get to play? Kind of problematic. But Akeem Messidor, like Jalen Tuimoloau, he can rush from the end or he can rush from the tackle spot. That gives him more value because he can play multiple positions for you. He's also smart. We talk a lot about size and speed and skill and all these things. But with quarterbacks, we talk a lot about the mental side of things, being able to snap the football, pre-snap, knowing, who's going where, being able to identify coverage. But post-snap play recognition for players in the NFL, especially on defense, is really important. And that's something that I think Messidor does a good job of. He recognizes screens pretty quickly. He's tough. He's physical against the run. He stonewalls blocks. He blows up moving blocks. He brings some experience as well, being able to drop back into zones, has a pretty decent feel whenever he's out in space. That's important because, as we saw last year, Lou Anarumo is not afraid to drop ends into coverage. He did it with Latu. Latu had a couple interceptions last year because of that. Akeem Messidor is an incredibly complete player who could help the Colts win immediately. And that is what the Colts need. They need to get guys in the building that can help them win right off the rip. Okay? I really, really like the way that he plays. The other thing about this that I think is important when it comes to Akeem Messidor, we're going to look a lot at how many guys the Colts take and do they draft a guy at every position that they need and all those things. And that's really important. But I would rather the Colts draft 3 guys that can actually come in and contribute than draft 6 guys where only 2 of them can help and the other 4 guys address a need. Look, you can address a need all you want, but it doesn't matter if they can't play. Like, if you're – so the other night, I was making dinner. Slight flex. No big deal. And let's just say theoretically that the recipe I was making, we needed milk for. And for some reason, we didn't have milk in the fridge. And I said, you know what, Amelia? It's all good. I'll run to the store real quick. If I run to the store and buy expired milk, sure, I got milk. Not helping us at all because it's expired. It can't contribute. That's the last thing that the Colts need. We really like this tape. We really like that he's 20 years old. He just needs a little bit of development. And then, he'll be good to go. The Colts don't have time for development. They need it right now. They need it right now. Otter Creek has a question. Jonathan, do you blame the Colts' inability to get the quarterback more on the defensive line and rush itself, or the coverage not giving them time to get there? Excellent question. I think right now, when you look at the secondary that the Colts have, you have to blame it on the rush itself. Because Charvarius Ward was really good when he played last year. Kenny Moore had a pretty solid season last year. Once they traded for Sauce Gardner and brought him in, Sauce looked good to his credit. They obviously had some injuries as well. That didn't help when you're running, Jalen Jones, former 7th-round pick out there. When you're running, other former, Jonathan Edwards, who was like a 6th-round pick. When you're running those guys out there, you blame it on the coverage. But right now, with Sauce and Cam Bynum and Sauce, Cam Bynum, Charvarius Ward, and Justin Wally, if the Colts can't get there this year, it's going to be about the edge rushers and your defensive tackles. DeForest Buckner, let's go, man. Like let's contribute a little bit more with the pass rush. It's going to be on them this year because people are going to look at this secondary, barring injuries, of course, and say, "Hey, we're loaded here. What's up, Leatu Latu? I thought you were the best pass rusher in your draft class." So I would blame it more on the rush than I would the defensive backs. But those two things are obviously married together. Um, like you said, OC. But if you're doing the blame game, I think you kind of have to put it on the pass rush right now, especially when you look at the lack of talent there. I mean, come on. It's all about that. Otter Creek also asking if Latu doesn't have double-digit sacks, is it time to consider him a bust and think about moving on? I don't think it's time to necessarily move on. I don't know if I'd call him a bust either. Like, look, he had 8.5 sacks last year. All the advanced stats tell you he's going to be really good. So I don't think that you would necessarily call him a bust. You could certainly call him disappointing. I don't think that those are the same things. And like, I would hold on to him. If he's your second best pass rusher with what we've seen so far, I think you feel good about that. But if he's your best pass rusher, that's where it becomes problematic. So Leatu Latu, hopefully he hit the gym this year, and hopefully we can figure out what he needs to do, or hopefully he can figure out what he needs to do to kind of go to the next level. Golfers, listen up. Your ultimate golf adventure is here. The 2026 Indiana Golf Card is your ticket to 8 incredible rounds of golf for more than 80% off, valued over $300. You can get yours for just $60. The Indiana Golf Card covers your green fees at 8 different courses across central Indiana. Starting tomorrow at 9 a.m., go to IndySportsTicket.com and click on the Sweet Deals tab to get your card before they're gone. In 3 minutes, final draft of the day, we're drafting comedians. And I think there's a pretty obvious number 1 overall pick. You'll hear who that is in 3 minutes.
The best takes? Maybe. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thanks for tuning in. No matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, X, the Indy Sports Ticket app, 1430 AM, so many ways to listen. There's really no excuse not to. And it is time for our final draft of the day. We're funny. I think.
I got a question though.
Yeah, what's up?
How do we determine who goes first here? Like, did you tank last season? Did you earn the number one spot?
Do you just want to do the number thing again?
Yeah, sure. Well, but maybe somebody come up with a question in the YouTube chat, and then we'll try to figure it out. But you'd probably get it right. But somebody throw a question in there real quick to determine who gets the first pick.
Okay, here. I may have one for you.
Okay.
Do you know who Greg Giraldo is?
I do.
Okay, you get the first pick because I have no idea who that is.
Oh.
JG said may not be drafted as he died about 15 years ago, but Greg Giraldo would be his number one overall pick.
Yeah, he was consistent on the roast stand-up things whenever on Comedy Central.
Okay.
Remember those?
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I get the honorable first pick then, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Well, you already know who I'm going to take, so that you can't take him. My number one pick is obviously Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, I figured. There's now a comedian that I have to go find who needs to be on my list, and I can't freaking remember his name, but he's so funny. He passed away. I'm gonna see if I can find him, and maybe I can take him late.
Sure.
All right, my first pick.
We're drafting comedians, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Is gonna be current superstar, probably the biggest comedian in the world right now, Shane Gillis.
Okay.
Love Shane.
Good pick.
Have you seen Tires?
I have, dude. That's a great show.
It's so funny. There's some clips in there where I'm like, glad Amelia isn't watching this with me. Found him. There we go. But yeah, it's good. It's fun.
Yeah, I liked where they had the I don't remember, the lady come to the office and she was doing a thing.
She's doing the HR thing.
Yeah, that was
like,
hilarious. Okay.
So funny.
All right, round two, right? Or second pick?
Second pick.
I had the pleasure of meeting this comedian when he was in town at Crackers. He gets a lot of negative reaction because of Joe Rogan, but my second pick is going to be Carlos Mencia.
Good pick.
Yeah.
Okay. That is not who I was going to take, but all right. That makes me feel good. That's a good one, though.
Hilarious.
I haven't heard as much of his stuff. I've got some guys on there, though, that you're probably going to be like, who is that? That's okay. What is your favorite bit by him?
Well, obviously, he has the D-to-D jokes, right? He's that guy.
Okay.
So that was kind of his shtick, if you want to say so, but he did it so well. But basically, yeah, just him explaining everyday life is hilarious to me.
Okay. We're going old school here.
Number 3 for you?
This is number 2 for me.
Oh, number 2 for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
John Pinette. If you know who that is?
Not familiar.
He's passed away. He does a lot of stuff on food. He was bigger, kind of looked like the Pillsbury Doughboy, and I can say that because he would say that about himself.
Huh.
A lot of like self-deprecating humor. He's hysterical. So funny.
I will have to look him up. I'm not sure I've ever heard of him.
He cracks me up, man, like in a way that no one else really does. But yeah, it's a lot of jokes about his own weight and his love for food. Have you seen Seinfeld?
Yeah.
Do you remember the final episode of Seinfeld?
I wasn't that big of a fan.
Okay. I was going to say he appeared he was on the series finale of Seinfeld. He died in 2014 at the age of 50.
Wow.
So, but yeah, he was
unfortunate.
He was awesome. He's so funny.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're on number 3.
Yes.
Now it's the third round. Third round of Jonathan and Chris's comedian comedian draft. My third pick would obviously pretty obvious one. You see him on SNL. He was just in town this past February. I'm going to go with Nate Bargatze.
Yeah, I had him on my list. He's good. I like him a lot. He's a good one. He's
really
super
like,
clean.
Yeah, I really like the skits that he did on SNL about the history, and those were good. Solid.
Oh man, yeah. Nobody knows that whole bit.
Yeah.
That whole bit's so good. He's so funny. All right, next one that I'm going to take. My third pick in our comedian draft. Because you know who Nate Bargatze is, you might know who this guy is. Derek Stroop.
I've heard the name. Where would I know him from?
He's opened for Nate Bargatze on a couple different occasions. Got his first Netflix special not that long ago. Southern guy, makes fun of being from the South. So he grew up in Alabama, but now lives in New York City. Used to live in Denver, and so he does this whole thing on hippies in Denver.
Okay.
Where he's like, Derek, they keep telling me that I need more juice, but if I have another cup of apple juice, I'm gonna poop my britches. The whole thing.
I think I know who you're talking about.
He's so good.
I've seen this in a reel. Is this
Yes.
like a social media
Yeah.
consistency? Okay.
Yes, he's hilarious.
I know.
Love him.
Exactly what you're talking about there. There you
He's
go.
good.
Round 4?
Fourth round, yep.
With the fourth pick in the comedian draft, I believe I will take Kevin Hart.
I had him on my list a decade ago. I probably would have taken him.
Yeah, his older stuff way better. The brand new stuff, I think he's gotten comfortable with being where he's at, and he doesn't have to try as hard. But his early stuff was hilarious.
His stuff, I love his. He does 3 jokes where he talks about why he's scared of gorillas, why he's scared of flamingos, and why he's scared of dolphins. And it's 3 of the funniest bits I've ever seen. He's incredible.
I love the skit. He was talking about your best friend, right? You're supposed to lie for me.
Yep, you're supposed to lie for your best. Yep, that's a great
If
one.
I'm looking at you. You need to, all
His
that.
thing where he's making fun of Shaq falling. I don't know if you've seen that one.
Yes.
It's good. There's another. I'm not going to take him, so I'll drop his name. Arias Spears.
Oh yeah,
he's
Arias
great
Spears.
as well.
Yeah, he was on Mad TV back in the day.
Those 2 guys, when I was in high school, loved them both. Probably my 2 favorite comedians at that time.
Very good.
All right, my fourth pick. I love the bluntness of this guy. He just says, he doesn't tell jokes. He just says what he thinks, and it's so funny. Jeff Dye, smaller comedian, but tackles a lot of he does this one bit. It's one of my favorites ever, where he was like, how people say that, it's funny because it's true.
Right.
He's like, that's not a real thing. He's like, take women, for example. And he lists out all these things about women. He's like women are in more caretaking fields. They're usually kinder than men. They're more philanthropic.
Yep.
They're just better than we are. And he's like, and that's okay. And he lists all these things out, and he goes, you realize how none of this is funny? And then everyone kind of starts laughing. He's like, this is why we got to make fun of these whores. And then he goes, and it's so funny.
Wow.
It's hilarious.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
That's good stuff.
It is good stuff. So yeah, it's love his stuff. He's hilarious.
Very good.
He
man.
tours everywhere except for Indianapolis. It really bothers me.
That's pretty common. A lot of, in music too, a lot of bands that come up with these great big tours and there's not a one indie date on it.
We need more comedy clubs.
Yes.
In Indianapolis.
Add that to the list from earlier.
There you go.
All right.
Final pick.
I'm ready for my final pick. This is not one person though, and it's not necessarily stand up, but I'm going to put it in the comedy section. Not just because either. My number 5 pick is actually a pair. I'm going to take with my number 5, Bob and Tom. Let's honor Bob
Good we can do
Kavoyan.
that. Yeah.
Man, not just because I'm passionate about radio. They were legitimately the funniest, at least in my childhood growing up, just turning on the radio. I don't even know what they were saying or talking about most of the time because I was too young to understand, but hilarious, and it brought joy. And got to respect Bob and Tom on my at least top 5 picks for a comedy draft.
One of the best tweet I read about Bob and Tom after Bob passed, Jake Query, who's a friend of mine, he tweeted out. He said there are two sounds synonymous with Indianapolis: the sound of engines for the Indy 500 and Bob's laugh.
Absolutely.
And someone who's not from here, obviously like loving radio, like who Bob and Tom are. That is the one thing that I hear everybody say about that show. They were just so funny, and there's something about laughter that just like pulls people in. Like I don't know how you are, but like if I hear someone laugh, I immediately want to know what is funny.
Sure. Absolutely.
What is going on. And so it's part of why their show was as good as it was. So
you could have the worst morning and turn on their show or listen to one of their tapes or whatever at the time, and it would immediately like change your mood. Like it would pull you out. They did some magical things in radio, man. We're going to miss Bob for sure.
Bob and Tom, that is a great pick. All right, my last one. I'll be very surprised if anyone's heard of this guy. His name is Jason Chaney, and he's this Asian comedian. He makes fun of Asian people. But my favorite bit I've heard him do is, have you seen like I love dogs, okay?
Okay.
But there's like a certain group of dog people who like will shame you if you don't get your dog from a shelter.
Right.
They're like, "Oh, my dog's a rescue.
Right.
You got yours from a breeder. Ooh, you terrible, terrible person." He does a bit on this where he's walking his dog. He doesn't know that this is a thing. And he walks into this lady, and this lady's bragging about how her dog's a rescue. And she's like indirectly scolding him for getting his dog from a breeder.
Right.
And he goes, "Let me see if I understand this." So a dog comes from like a breeder, and then it goes to a bad home, and then it ends up at a shelter, and then you took it, right? And she goes, "Yes, I saved the dog." He was like, "Not really. If you just bought it from the breeder, then nothing bad ever would have happened to it." And he's like, "You bought it from the breeder because you're broke. You bought it from the shelter because you're broke." And the whole thing, the way that he presents it, is so funny.
Interesting.
Love him.
I love that kind of presentation whenever it comes to storytelling. It's like, yeah, it makes you think a little bit, doesn't it?
There was a guy that was not drafted, and I'm so glad he wasn't.
I have a runner-up too. Go ahead.
I don't think he's funny.
Oh.
Who's your runner-up?
Mine was funny. You don't have a funny one, like a runner-up?
All of the ones, everybody that I wrote down got drafted by me or you.
Okay.
So like there's other guys out there. What's his name? He's got a really good bit on his wife having brain surgery. Jim Gaffigan.
Oh yeah,
he's funny.
Good.
He's really good. Yeah.
Mine would probably be top 10 runner-up. Dimitri Martin. Not sure if you've ever heard of him.
No, I've not.
The one that goes on stage and draws the pictures, and he kind of has this thing. He flips the pictures over, and he tells like jokes through his pre-drawn pictures, and it's good stuff too.
All right, I can now say the name of the guy that I don't think is funny. John Mulaney.
Okay.
Neither one of us picked John Mulaney, and I'm glad. I don't like the way John Mulaney talks. It's annoying. I also don't think he's funny. He's got one joke that I think is funny.
Okay.
You know how like there's a saying where like if you're dating someone and you've been dating them for a long time and you haven't married them yet, people be like, "Why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free?"
Right.
And he does the whole thing where he's like, "Well, like, do you ever go to cow sales and you have a cow sitting beside you and like staring you down because you won't buy the cow?" Because like when you go to weddings and you've been dating someone for 5 years,
sure,
they're like, "Hey,
yeah,
so
I get it."
Like that bit's funny, but
Sure.
all those other ones I don't find funny at all.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So, all right,
Good
there's
job.
our comedians draft. I'm always looking for more comedy stuff. I freaking love it. So if anyone has any suggestions on more comedians for me to check out or for Chris to check out, because he's obviously a big comedy guy as well, throw them my way. 317-228-1430. If you have thoughts on comedians or if you have thoughts on the upcoming NFL draft, which starts tonight, The Colts are sitting out round 1, but that's okay. Round 2 tomorrow, it'll be a great time. And I'm sure it'll go great. More on the NFL draft. 2 guys that are going to be busts in about 3 minutes.
Nine HD2 and always on the free Indie Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indie Sports Ticket. And this show's just flying by. Destin Adams joined us earlier. He's got his final mock draft up. Looks pretty good as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, so we'll see. We got the NFL draft tonight. We'll obviously talk about that quite a bit tomorrow. If you have thoughts on the NFL draft, 317-228-1430. What would you like to see the Indianapolis Colts do tonight? Do you want to see them trade up? Do you value having the extra picks? What are you looking for them to do? I'm very intrigued by it. Can't wait to see what ends up happening and how they go about acquiring more picks, because you just know. You already know. That is exactly what the Colts are going to go about doing in this draft. And I think it's a good draft to do it in. There's just a lot of questions about who the best player is at a lot of different positions in this draft. What I do know is I think there's 2 guys who have a decent chance at being busts. First one is Ty Simpson. If Ty Simpson gets taken in the first round, that will be the biggest mistake of the first round. He only started 15 games in college after being a backup for 3 years at Alabama. At this point, if I'm an NFL general manager, based on what we've seen recently, I want a quarterback who has played a lot of football. Jaden Daniels was that way when he came into the league. He played a ton of football, got off to a nice start. Same thing with Bo Nix. Same thing with Drake May. Same thing with Caleb Williams. Took Caleb Williams a year, but he eventually got there. You want someone who has seen some stuff when it comes to playing college football. I also want a quarterback who's got some size. Ty Simpson does not have any size. He looks less like an NFL franchise savior and more like the kid who manages the TikTok account for the football team. Okay, I've seen sturdier looking people on top of a wedding cake. This dude's listed at 6'1", 211 pounds, and there's absolutely no way that guy weighs 211 pounds. Absolutely not. It's probably one of those things where he tried to like bulk up right before the combine, so he weighed in a little bit heavier. I don't know if you've ever seen Diary of a Wimpy Kid, but there's a scene where the main character wrestles a girl and he loses, and so he starts gorging himself so he can get out of her weight class. It's kind of funny. That's kind of how I imagine Ty Simpson before the NFL draft. Just like, you see that bowl of mashed potatoes right there? I'm going to eat all of them and all of the butter so I can get up to 211. There's no way Ty Simpson is playing football at 200 pounds. When you watch him at Alabama, he is incredibly slight. I imagine he plays closer at like 190. And when you're that small, you're already at a disadvantage. If you're going to be undersized, then you have to have something to make up for that. And Ty Simpson simply doesn't have anything to make up for that. Kyler Murray, small quarterback, but he's got a big arm and he's incredibly mobile and athletic, right? He's got the ability to scamper and pick up a first down. I like when he does it, because every time he does it, he looks like a toddler who stole your phone and is running away.
I used to say that all the time.
It's exactly what he looks like, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's so funny. Ty Simpson doesn't have a special arm, and he doesn't have the athletic ability to extend plays in the same way that we've seen smaller quarterbacks that have survived in the NFL do. Russell Wilson, undersized, but throws a beautiful deep ball. And when he was in Seattle, his escapability was really impressive. And as he's gotten older and that ability has left him, he's now a backup quarterback. It's the reality of it. Okay. Brock Purdy, really good escapability. So even though he doesn't have like the best arm ever, his ability to extend plays allows him to survive in the NFL, even though he's undersized. The other thing about Ty Simpson that's concerning is he struggles to throw the football when he's throwing under pressure, and his decision-making wanes in those situations, right? He too often forces passes into tight coverage. He puts the ball in danger when he tries to improvise. When you play quarterback in the NFL, you have to be able to operate under pressure. It's one of the things that I like about Fernando Mendoza. When he was under pressure against Ohio State, that man was unfazed. Didn't matter. Was still ripping it all over the field. Someone is going to take Ty Simpson in the first round, and they're going to regret it. If it's Pittsburgh, it's going to be Kenny Pickett all over again. Now, I feel like I'm cheating a little bit by taking a quarterback because the bust rate on quarterbacks in the first round is pretty high. Okay, it just is. Half of first-round quarterbacks that are selected fail. About 25% of them, half of quarterbacks selected in the first round fail. 30% of them go on to be serviceable starters, and about 20% of them end up being superstars. So my non-quarterback bust pick is Arvell Reese, a guy who might go number 2 overall. Everybody loves him. Decent chance that he's going to be a stud. Certainly has the tools. But there are some issues with him. Everyone wants him to be an edge rusher in the NFL. Okay, it's why he could be the number 2 overall pick. But when you look at his time at Ohio State, he came in as a linebacker and played a lot of linebacker. Split time there this previous year. So yes, he can put his hand in the dirt and win on third down. He's athletic enough to slide out and play linebacker as well. This guy's a tweener. I don't know if he's big enough to play edge. I don't know if he has the size to consistently win against these offensive tackles in the NFL. I also don't think he's developed enough as a pass rusher quite yet. I know he's an awesome athlete. You know who else are awesome athletes? Offensive tackles in the NFL. I think that Arvell Reese is a little undersized, 6'4", but he's only 240. Most edge rushers are like 260 to 275. The smaller ones are more at like 250. So he's about 20 pounds too light. Now, look, he can put that on, but how does that impact his speed and quickness and all those things? Then again, maybe he's athletic enough at 240 pounds to find a way to get it done. We'll see. It's an interesting thing to watch. But his weight, I have questions about. Here's the other really important thing. He was not a dominant pass rusher in college. Like, Reuben Bain was a monster at Miami. David Bailey at Texas Tech was a monster. Arvell Reese, when rushing the passer, not as dominant. His PFF grade as a pass rusher is lower than several former top 10 picks at edge who struggled in the pros. Guys like Tyree Wilson, for example. If a team takes him at number 2 or number 3 overall, you are not getting some double-digit sack guy right off the rip. I think he's too raw to do that in his first year against NFL offensive tackles. And I think that evaluators know that. But here's the thing, and this is where I become cautious. One, you have to be a special kind of athlete to beat offensive tackles with pure athleticism because he's not developed as a pass rusher. And again, maybe Arvell Reese is that kind of an athlete, but it's a hard thing to count on. Here's the other thing about it that kind of raises a red flag for me. This feels similar to the Anthony Richardson pick for the Colts. One of the things that people like about Arvell Reese is that he's only 20 years old. When Anthony Richardson was drafted, he was like 20 years old. One of the things people are talking about with Arvell Reese is they're talking significantly more about his potential at the position than they are his actual production. When Anthony Richardson was drafted by the Colts, people talked more about his potential at the position compared to results of when he played quarterback at Florida. It wasn't good. When you look at Arvell Reese, when he's actually come off the edge, not great. Not great at all. You don't draft a project with the number 2 overall pick. You draft a guy that you know is going to come in and help elevate your franchise immediately. I think that's pretty clearly David Bailey from Texas Tech. That is who I would take if I was the Jets, a team that's been awful at rushing the passer. Who knows what they end up doing? A lot of people have Arvell Reese mocked to them in that spot. We'll see kind of what ends up happening, but I'm very intrigued to see how things go in terms of what the Jets do with that pick, because I am not fully bought in on Arvell Reese. Okay, let someone else try to develop the pass rusher. Go get something that you know is going to elevate your franchise immediately. That is the point of having the number 2 overall pick. So you can draft a quarterback who can come in and lift your spirits immediately, or an edge rusher who can come in and elevate your defense immediately. I don't think that Arvell Reese is that kind of a guy. We'll see what winds up happening, though. Where Jeremiah Love goes tonight is really interesting. It looks like he's going to be a top 5 pick. I don't know. If the Cardinals take him over David Bailey or Arvell Reese, because I do think that's a team that could bring in Arvell Reese and develop him. They've already got Josh Sweat. They're not asking him to be a double-digit sack guy right off the rip. If they take Jeremiah Love over him, I think that's a mistake. No other way around it. And going to be interesting. So NFL draft is tonight. Chris, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you, what do you want the Giants to do with the 5th and 10th pick?
I would like to see them go after one of the edges. They don't need Jeremiah Love if he falls down to number 5, because obviously they got Scattaboo and they got Tracy Jr. But I would like to see him go after one of the edges after your explanation on Arvell Reese. I think I would hope to get Bailey, but I don't see him being around for number 5. And I would also like to see them go after Caleb Downs, but I don't think he'll be around for the 10th pick. So maybe an O-line pick, some protection for Jackson Dart so he's not so reckless. That's what I would like to see.
Okay, that's totally fair. People that are saying Jeremiah Love is going to go to the Titans, I would not be so sure about that. Someone, it was Ross in the chat, chimed in saying Jeremiah Love is going to go to the Titans and he's going to torture the Colts year after year after year. Here's a really important thing to realize about the Titans. They just hired a new head coach. His name's Robert Saleh. And when you look at Robert Saleh, he's a defensive-minded guy. And when you look at his defenses in San Francisco, they all start with the middle linebacker position. Okay? That is where it starts for the best defenses that Robert Saleh has had. Fred Warner, right? That's the guy who kind of sets the table for the rest of the defense when it comes to Robert Saleh. If Sonny Styles is on the board at 4, and I think he's going to be, I'd be very surprised if he went top 3. That is who I think they're going to take. Because Saleh wants to beat you with defense. That's what he wants to do. And they'll grab receivers in rounds 2 and 3. There's other running backs like Mike Washington. That's a guy who, running back from Arkansas, really good player. Like that's a guy that you can get in round 4 who can come in and elevate your running back room. You got Cam Ward, get him receivers, develop the offensive line that they've spent a decent amount of draft capital on, develop those guys, get the middle of your defense figured out, and move on from there. I would be very surprised if the Titans took Jeremiah Love. That being said, they have a meddling owner who wouldn't surprise me at all if she inserted herself and said, no, we're going to take these guys instead. We're going to take Love instead. So we'll see how it goes. What is wrong with me, Chris? We just did a whole show. I didn't bring up the NBA playoffs once.
I know. I thought for sure we were going to spend some time on that.
I mean,
just give us a quick rundown.
We got about 30 seconds here. The Pistons thumped the Magic. Don't all of a sudden jump on a Pistons bandwagon. That series is still going to be tough. Magic had a poor third quarter. That's why they lost that game. The Thunder continue to get away with murder. We got Devin Booker calling out referees by name last night after the game, laying it out like, yo, James sucked tonight. He's got to be better going forward. Look, everyone complains about the whistle that the Thunder get. At some point, you would think the league would make an adjustment. We have game 3s tonight. Don't watch the NFL draft. Just set up the notifications on your phone. Have it chime whenever a pick is made. That's what I'm going to be doing. 7 o'clock. We got Knicks and Hawks. Series tied 1-1. That game's going to be cinema. You want to watch that one. And then tonight, 9:30. Jonathan, that's past my bedtime. No, it's not. Stay up late for basketball tonight. It'll be worth it. We got Nuggets, Timberwolves, game 3, series tied 1-1. The only way it gets better than this are game 5s when it's tied 2-2 and game 7s tied 3-3. Watch game 3s tonight. You will not regret it unless it's the Cavaliers and Raptors. Cavs cruise again. That's going to do it for the show. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow at noon, breaking down all the NFL draft stuff. We'll probably talk a little bit of game 3s, especially if the Knicks are on the ropes, because let's just be honest, it's a hate watch tonight. We hate the Knicks, so we're watching to see them lose. So we'll get into that. Zach Hicks is going to come on. We'll do a little bit more Colts draft stuff. Maybe they trade up tonight. We'll kind of see how it goes, and it'll be a lot of fun. So make sure you're tuned in tomorrow at noon. We will talk to you then. See ya.